Li Mei's Sword of Destiny. Chapter 14:12. Qin Wentian's body reverted back to normal. His aura dissipated as the violent qi flow also gradually faded. Well killed, Wu Xiu praised. Before this, two immortal kings were brutally killed consecutively. Now Qin Wentian's domineering performance finally allowed him to vent his anger, turning the tables and suppressing the arrogance of the greater demons of the desolate mountains. And on the other side, the greater demons of the desolate mountains all had cold expressions as they stared at Qin Wentian. This was especially so for the greater demon from the Heavenhold race. His ugly eyes flashed with a dense killing intent. The experts from the immortal realms are as many as the clouds. Don't think that you guys can suppress us easily. You guys use such brutal methods to kill us, we will return the favor. Qin Wentian glanced at the greater demons, his words causing one of them to have a cold smile on his face. Interesting, a mere human actually dares to be so arrogant before us. The greater demons of the desolate mountains. Someone go and kill him. A greater demon coldly spoke. However, Qin Wentian merely snorted coldly and continued, "If you guys continue to be stubborn, I will come up again." As he spoke, he walked down the platform. This battle wasn't a battle fought by him alone. It was a battle between the various peak powers of the immortal realms and the greater demons of the desolate mountains. He could sweep through them with ease when he was at the initial stage of the immortal king realm, but if he was the only one fighting, he would simply be courting death. From this, one could very well imagine how terrifying these greater demons were. The people from the Skymist Immortal Empire and Paragon Sword Sect were urging him to fight because they naturally hoped that he would die in battle. Even if he didn't die in battle, he would still offend those greater demons. If he continued fighting alone and the other major powers didn't act, all the greater demons would be offended by him. By then, he would only be complying with the intentions of his enemies, the Skymist Immortal Empire and Paragon Sword Sect. This was no different from courting death. Qin Wentian completely believed that when so many great demons wanted to kill him, not only would those people stand by and watch, they might even stab him in the back. Only when everyone worked together to deal with the great demons of the desolate land was the right way to go. Sure enough, as soon as Qin Wentian stepped out of the battle platform, he heard an immortal king of the Tenlon Heaven Kingdom say, "Brother Qin is so strong. Why don't you fight a few more battles, kill the prestige of those demons, and fight for the glory of our immortal region?" That's right. Could it be that Brother Qin isn't willing to contribute more to the immortal region? An expert from the Supreme Sword School echoed. Qin Wentian's gaze swept across the crowd. Cold, he stared at the person who had spoken and said, "It's fine if you didn't instigate me to act earlier. But now that I've already won a battle, you still dare to speak in such a manner. Do you want me to deal with all the demons of the desolate mountains by myself? Then what use does the immortal region have for you? Why don't you guys from the Tenlon Heaven Kingdom and the Supreme Sword School scram and disband, joining the immortal Qinbian Gate instead? It's fine if you don't want to fight. Brother Qin, why must you speak in such an ugly manner?" Someone mocked. This doesn't seem to be a matter that concerns him alone? At this moment, there was someone who couldn't bear to continue listening. The person who spoke was none other than that supreme beauty from the Jadestige Immortal Palace. She glanced at the experts from the Tenlon Heaven Kingdom and the Supreme Sword School. "The demons of the desolate mountains have already threatened us. Yet you guys don't even think about fighting against them. Instead, you guys instigate Qin Wentian to fight alone. Have the peak powers of the eastern regions fallen to such a state? The people from the Tenlon Heaven Kingdom and the Supreme Sword School are truly cowards." Another person mocked, disliking the people from these two peak powers. Qin Wentian could be considered to have helped the immortal realms vent their anger. Yet these two peak powers only wanted internal strife, wanting nothing more than for Qin Wentian to die in battle. Enough. An immortal emperor from the 100 Refinements sect spoke. "Don't let the demons of the desolate mountains see us as a joke. It's already agreed that all the peak powers will send out people to fight. Since Qin Wentian has already fought, let's start from the peak powers of the eastern regions. Who will fight next?" Many people turned their gazes to the experts from the Supreme Sword School and the Tenlon Heaven Kingdom. The eyes of these two peak powers froze as someone coldly snorted. But at this moment, a figure walked out from the crowd of the Supreme Sword School. This person had a terrifying cultivation base, at the peak phase of the mid-stage of the immortal king realm. He was clad in a simple sword-shaped robe and his brows were as sharp as swords. One's cultivation would cause one's demeanor to change. His entire demeanor was like a sword, an invincible sword. When he stepped out, although he didn't release his aura, everyone could still feel an intense sharpness from him. Many people from the Supreme Sword School had a look of respect on their faces when they stared at him. This time around, the experts from the various regions of the immortal realms are all gathered together. And we are also facing the powerful demons of the desolate mountains. Maybe some of the peak characters from the various peak powers would appear before the world. Nanfeng Mingyue spoke in a low voice. Qin Wentian had already returned. He nodded his head when he heard Nanfeng Mingyue's words. Only extremely famous immortal emperors would be able to shake the world. Even for immortal kings, their fame would be limited to a small area. After all, the immortal realms were simply too vast. There would definitely be outstanding characters from the various peak powers. This time around, they might be able to see all of them. This person is a supreme character at the immortal king level from the Supreme Sword School. His name is Shangguang Jiani, and he once cultivated in the Tiandao Sacred Academy. Nanfeng Mingyue spoke. Qin Wentian nodded. Back then, Nanfeng Mingyue might have also cultivated in the Tiandao Sacred Academy. Hence, she knew who the supreme geniuses at the peak of the immortal king level were. Shangguang Jiani from the Supreme Sword School walked up the platform. He closed his eyes and was incomparably quiet. At this moment, the entire world seemed to have fallen silent. This scene caused everyone to feel how terrifying this person was. The eyes of the demonic experts flashed. This time around, they were waiting for the immortal realms to send out their experts first because they wanted to observe the situation and choose which demonic experts to kill. This Shangguang Jiani caused them to feel a sense of threat. Boom! A Taotai stepped out. He was incomparably baleful and exuded a terrifying aura. This was an extremely famous ferocious beast of the desolate mountains. Although he was in human form, the position of his eyes was very low. If he transformed into a demon, his eyes would be below his armpits. The Taotai let out a low-sounding roar as his eyes gleamed with a terrifying coldness. However, Shangguang Jiani's eyes were still closed. It was like he had always been like this. He stood there, as though he was the only existence in this world. Bang! The Taotai stomped on the ground. Upon feeling the threat, he reverted to his original form. A moment later, an incomparably gigantic ferocious beast appeared before the crowd, incomparably terrifying. Bang! Another thunderous sound rang out. The Taotai stepped on the platform and moved forward, as though he was observing Shangguang Jiani. At this instant, a boundless sword might suddenly envelop this entire space. Only the sword might and sword intent could be felt, ethereal and formless. It was unknown when this sword would be born and how strong would it be. Shangguang Jiani wasn't his original name. It was a name given to him later on. Jiani Jiani. When he killed someone, he only needed a single sword strike. The sword intent gushed forth. Shangguang Jiani still didn't have a powerful halo of light around him. However, the Taotai let out a roar as he sensed an intense threat. He grew more and more violent as he rushed towards Shangguang Jiani. Roar! An ear-piercing shriek rang out, capable of piercing one's eardrums and shattering their internal organs. However, Shangguang Jiani didn't seem to feel it at all. He continued standing there, his body trembling from the impact of the Taotai stomping on the platform as well as the ear-piercing shriek. Chi-chi and even more ear-piercing roar rang out. The tens of thousands of sword intents suddenly transformed into countless flexible swords that revolved around the Taotai. However, they still didn't launch any attacks. Instead, the more they converged, the more terrifying they became, almost forming a world of swords that wanted to engulf the Taotai within. The Taotai roared in rage as he attacked. However, the sword intents seemed to be illusory. His attacks actually had no way to touch them. The boundless sword intents merely moved along with him, growing stronger and stronger. Finally, they reached a peak, transforming into a prison of swords that completely engulfed the Taotai's body. Roar! The Taotai let out a heaven-shaking roar. He didn't continue attacking Shangguang Jiani. Instead, he turned around and fled. But at this moment Shangguangjiani moved. A resplendent beam of sword light erupted from his body as he slashed out with his sword, commanding the tens of thousands of sword intents. In an instant, the sword prison was imbued with a supreme sword might as it shot towards the Taoye's body. In just an instant fresh blood splattered as miserable screams filled the air. That incomparably gigantic Taoye's body was gradually devoured by the sword prison, and very swiftly, it completely disappeared. On the battle platform, the sword intents were still emitting sharp whistling sounds before they slowly faded away. The eyes of the experts from the immortal realms flashed. What powerful combat prowess! Seems like the major powers of the immortal realms are getting serious, sending out their most outstanding geniuses. The expressions of those demons were extremely unsightly to behold. They were actually suppressed by the humans. Right now it could be considered as 2 wins and 2 losses. They didn't gain any advantage at all. Who's going to fight? The base demon emperor calmly spoke. A figure from the evil god race walked out. He was like a supreme evil king, stepping onto the battle platform, waiting for the immortal realms to send themselves to their deaths. This time around, an immortal king from the Tenlon Heaven Kingdom at the same cultivation level as the evil god race was proficient in the evilest of energies. Destruction, poison, corrosion, confusion, control. He was from the evil god race. The more evil the energy was, the more they would cultivate it. Although the immortal king from the Tenlon Heaven Kingdom was powerful, he still died miserably in the hands of the evil god race. He was directly swallowed by the evil god race and was digested. On the human side, the supreme geniuses from the various major powers stepped out one after another. The greater demons of the desolate mountains sent out terrifying greater demons, and there were actually victories and defeats on both sides. These greater demons were all extremely terrifying. Any of them had shocking talent unique to the demon race. They were all saint beasts of the desolate mountains, kings of the desolate mountains. However, on the human side there were also some supreme geniuses. Shangguangjiani from the Supreme Sword School was incomparably powerful. There was also a supremely powerful immortal king from the Shooting Sun Kingdom, who could reap lives with his arrows. There was also a terrifying immortal king from the Sunluo Immortal Empire, who created a law domain, the Sunluo Hell. But even so, the demons still held the advantage. But it wasn't an easy thing to completely crush the alliance of these peak powers of the immortal realms. Is this enough? You guys lost more than you won. Isn't it about time for you guys to retreat from Skybreak City? The base demon emperor coldly spoke. The immortal emperor of the northern regions replied, "The battle has yet to end. Those elites of our immortal realms can continue to fight. Could it be that you guys think they can fight against the strongest experts of our demon race?" A supreme expert from the Forok race coldly spoke. "How would we know if we don't try?" The immortal emperor of the immortal realms replied. He felt that since these demons were in such a hurry to expel them from Skybreak City, there must be a major matter. At this moment, Qin Wentian's body trembled. He felt that little rascal was summoning him again. And at the same time, the expression of the base demon emperor changed. "If you still don't retreat from Skybreak City, the greater demons of the desolate mountains will launch an attack." As the sound of her voice faded, the countless demonic beasts behind her roared in unison, causing the heavens and earth to tremble. And at this moment, in a certain location in the desolate 10,000 mountain range, the heavens and earth suddenly changed. The earth fissured as a supreme demonic chi shot up into the sky, permeating into the distance. In the surroundings of this place, there were actually more demons compared to the outside world, including those powerful demonic beasts. If the people of the immortal realm saw this, they would surely be shocked. Chapter 14:13. In a certain location in the depths of the desolate 10,000 mountain range, the heavens and earth split apart as a desolate aura from the primordial era gushed forth, powerful to an unfathomable extent. The eyes of countless greater demons in the surroundings gleamed with sharpness as their bodies trembled. There were countless low-level demonic beasts who prostrated themselves on the ground, their eyes filled with reverence as well as a faint trace of fear. It was as though what was about to happen was a terrifying scene. The cracks in the heavens and earth grew more and more terrifying. Even the heavens and earth were torn apart. Numerous cracks extended outwards, and in the depths of the spatial cracks, A beam of light could be seen. This beam of light originated from the primordial era. This beam of light gradually grew brighter, and as the light grew brighter, the terrifying might in the surroundings grew even more terrifying. At this moment, many greater demons from the ancient races were gathered together. All of them were in their original forms. One of the greater demons had 9 heads, and each head had a pair of terrifying eyes that stared ahead. Those heads were like divine mastiffs, incomparably baleful and exuding a tyrannical aura. His body glowed with a terrifying golden light as a terrifying aura radiated from him. In the surroundings, none of the demonic beasts dared to feel anything except for a snow-white little demon on his shoulder. The little demon seemed to be extremely content, and was currently staring curiously at everything that was happening. At the same time, he was also calling out to someone. Beside the little fellow, there was a fiery red vermilion bird. Because the body of the greater demon that enveloped the little fellow was too huge, like an ancient mountain, the little fellow and the vermilion bird appeared even smaller, like tiny specks that were inconspicuous. If there was an opportunity, people would directly ignore them. Such a combination was indeed a little strange. "Senior, is there really a demon god mountain?" Little Rascal's childish voice rang out, asking this incomparably gigantic existence. Naturally, the people of the Bays race are proficient in prophecy arts. They are capable of countless transformations and can even see through heavenly secrets. The clan leader of the Bays race has already predicted that there would be a huge change in the desolate mountains. With the appearance of the demon god mountain, the desolate 10,000 mountain range would be affected and many supreme greater demons would be born. The strength of the entire desolate 10,000 mountain range would rise by a level. That greater demon spoke. Little Rascal blinked. So this is the demon god mountain? How shocking. Are there some great treasures here? If humans came here, would they be able to obtain them too? What are you thinking about? The demon god mountain is the sacred mountain of our desolate mountains. It's extremely rare for it to appear even once in countless years. Once it appears, it would indicate that there's going to be a huge change in the world. The desolate mountains are going to be in a state of chaos. What's the use of humans coming here? They would only be a hindrance to our sacred mountain. Hence, I hope those fellows outside can temporarily expel the humans from Skybreak City. Those humans are very cunning. There are also many powerful experts among them. I'm afraid it won't be easy to expel them. The little guy's eyes flickered. You are right. Humans are truly cunning and greedy. They would definitely be eyeing our sacred mountain. It won't be easy to expel them, but I'm just trying it out. So what if they really come here? Let them all die in our desolate mountains, never to return. After that, we shall sweep through the immortal realms and invade the human world. Demons and humans shall coexist, transforming the entire immortal realms into our desolate mountains. That greater demon's voice was incomparably tyrannical. Is that so? If there are humans with extremely powerful demonic beast bloodlines, would the demon god mountain be of any use? Little Rascal mumbled, as though he didn't care about how strong the demons of the desolate mountains were. Whether the desolate mountains were strong or not, it didn't matter to him at all. Right now, he was thinking about what he could gain from this. However, there shouldn't be any mistakes in following this senior. Who asked this senior to say that they were from the same race? In addition, their race was from a race that was about to go extinct in the immortal realms. There was no solution to this. The races of the supreme ancient immortal realms were simply too rare. Little Rascal, what are you thinking about in your head? There's no need for you to bother about the matters of humans. This time around, you just have to think of ways to gain more benefits. The demon god mountain is extremely rare, and every time it appears, a demon god would be born. This is a chance for the desolate mountains to rise up. You have the purest bloodline, and if you become a demon god in the future, you must definitely head to the other worlds to search for my people and revive my race. The greater demon's voice sounded extremely aged. Oh, Little Rascal replied, but he was still somewhat distracted. Up ahead, the light grew stronger and stronger. In that space where the heavens and earth were split apart, there seemed to be a divine mountain appearing from the void. Is that the demon god mountain? Little Rascal mumbled. The prophecy of the Bays clan was right. The demon god mountain has appeared, descending from the heavens. The sacred mountain of our desolate mountains has appeared, and the great era of demons is about to arrive. From now on, the desolate mountains shall be the hegemon of the desolate mountains. Roar, roar, roar. Only to see countless demonic beasts rushing over. When they stared at the newly formed demon god mountain, they all knelt on the ground and prostrated themselves. This was the legend of the demon gods of the desolate mountains. It was a sacred mountain, a sacred ground that would only appear once every countless years. But now it has appeared. However, this demon god mountain hasn't fully taken form yet. It was still changing and exuded an ancient aura. This demon god mountain extended into the void. It was unknown how far away it was. It seemed to be boundlessly deep and seemed to be right in front of them. However, they all understood that the demon god mountain was immeasurably deep. When this huge commotion occurred, the demon god mountain appeared, causing the entire desolate mountains to tremble. Numerous fissures appeared on the ground, extending outwards, resembling a spiderweb that extended endlessly. At the border of the desolate 10,000 mountain range in the immortal realms, outside Skybreak City, the demons and humans who were fighting here were all shocked as well. They could all feel the terrifying tremors coming from the depths of the desolate mountains. Although countless greater demons blotted out the sky, they could still feel the tremors and could sense the terrifying changes happening within. The expressions of many experts from the immortal realms changed. This was especially so for those immortal emperors. All of their expressions were incomparably heavy. As for those demons, they couldn't control themselves as they silently cursed their fellow demons. In truth, these people who came here weren't the core members of their respective demon races. They were sent here to complete a mission, the strongest of the demon races. Right now, they were in the mountain range, waiting for the sacred ground, the demon god mountain, to appear. Right now, the tremors in the desolate mountains were so great that even the people at the border could feel it. They knew what was going to happen soon. Hence, their hearts had already flown to the depths of the desolate mountains. What exactly is happening in the desolate mountains? The eyes of some immortal emperors gleamed with sharpness. They finally realized that the situation might be much greater than what they had imagined. The eyes of these demons flashed. They couldn't remain calm anymore. They basically had no heart to continue fighting. They could faintly sense that these incomparably powerful greater demons were only sent here to delay them. If they could intimidate them and chase them out of Skybreak City, that would naturally be for the best. What does this have to do with your immortal realms? The matters of my desolate mountains have yet to be discussed by you humans. The battle has yet to end. If you guys really don't retreat from Skybreak City, the demon army of the desolate mountains will really invade the human world. The Bay's demon empress calmly spoke. She was the only one who could still maintain her calm. The other greater demons all felt agitated and wanted to leave. According to the legends, the demon god mountain has appeared, ushering in a brand new era in the desolate mountains. The demons of the desolate mountains would welcome an opportunity. In fact, there might even be a demon god that would be able to rule over the desolate mountains. Boom! A few beams of light shot out, directly ignoring the demons as they rushed into the desolate mountains. These figures were all immortal emperors who had been hiding in the shadows. When they sensed that something major was happening in the desolate mountains, they were no longer able to remain calm. They had to head over there to see what was going on. Qin Wentian's eyes gleamed with sharpness, flashing with the light of truth. He stared at the greater demons in front of him and could sense that they had no will to fight and wanted to leave. In addition, Little Rascal was still summoning him. He naturally knew that something shocking was happening in the desolate mountains. The desolate mountains are about to undergo a great change. What's the point of you guys obstructing us here? The truly powerful immortal emperors have already rushed into the desolate mountains. You guys won't be able to stop them. Our human wuxio is fine, but if you guys miss this opportunity, you guys will never have another chance to rise up again. You will only be trampled under the feet of the other greater demons. Qin Wentian could sense the emotions of these demons as he tried to provoke them. Although they knew Qin Wentian's intentions, the hearts of these greater demons were still trembling intensely. Are you guys willing to be suppressed by humans? You were sent here to suppress the humans of the immortal realms while those greater demons who sent you here reap the fruits of our labor? Qin Wentian probed. And as expected, the expressions of the greater demons changed again, as though they were filled with reluctance. How arrogant were these greater demons? Although they could return after completing their mission, these humans were extremely difficult to deal with. They were already impatient to go and take a look at the legendary place. The base demon emperor glanced at the greater demons as she sighed in her heart. Seems like everything was moving towards the direction of the prophecy. She sighed and said, "Retreat." As the sound of her voice faded, the greater demons frantically retreated. They were like bolts of lightning fleeing for their lives. It was too fast, so fast that it was inconceivable. The Forok rays spread their wings, blotting out the sun. With a flap of their wings, they vanished without a trace. These demons are actually so anxious. What happened exactly? Someone sighed in admiration. Let's go and take a look. The figures of the greater demons flickered as they entered the desolate mountains. As they advanced, they could see a divine mountain in the distance. The radiance of this divine mountain enveloped the entire desolate mountains, radiating its radiance. Those demon immortals obstructed us because they wanted to delay us immortal cultivators, not allowing us to come to the desolate mountains and destroy everything. Everyone felt their hearts trembling when they saw this scene. As they continued forward, waves of disdain rose in their hearts. The Demon God Mountain, the #1 legendary mountain in the desolate mountains. Someone exclaimed in shock. Heavens, the desolate mountains are about to welcome a brand new era. Our immortal realms are in for it. Chapter 14:14. The ordinary people of the immortal realms might not have an understanding of the Demon God Mountain, but for the immortal emperors of the immortal realms, especially the great emperors of the northern regions, they naturally knew a little about the legends of the desolate 10,000 mountain range. This was especially so for the #1 Demon God Mountain. There were ancient records stating that in the long river of history of the Azure Mystic Immortal Realms, humans and demonic beasts had clashed many times. There were characters who were incomparably strong who unified the Azure Mystic Immortal Realms, and even ruled over the desolate mountain range. Naturally, there were also people who weren't interested in the desolate mountain range. In that era, there was a character named Wu Xiao who rushed into the desolate mountain range in search of demonic beasts to be his mounts. In other eras, a world-shocking greater demon appeared in the wilderness. It killed the humans and wreaked havoc among them. Finally, a balance was formed between both sides. The desolate 10,000 mountain range seemed to be separated from the immortal realms. This history was even earlier than the myriad Devil Islands. But if one traced the history of the desolate mountains from the ancient records, they would be able to see many legends about the desolate mountains. And among these legends, the legend of the Demon God Mountain was ranked #1. It was the most mythical legend of the demons of the desolate mountains. According to history, every time the Demon God Mountain appeared, the demons of the desolate mountain range would welcome a brand new era. The demons of the desolate mountains would undergo a metamorphosis and many powerful demons would appear. More kings of the desolate mountain range would be born, and there might even be powerful demon gods that would unite the desolate mountains. If the desolate mountains coveted the immortal realms, it would surely be a calamity for the immortal realms. Once the desolate 100,000 mountain range welcomed a new era, there was no doubt that the immortal realms would become the territory of humans. It was just that no one knew to what extent it would be destroyed. It has only been 100 years since the Tiandao Sacred Academy appeared. Now that the Demon God Mountain of the Desolate Mountains has appeared, the immortal realms are truly going to have a major event in the future. I wonder if it's a blessing or a calamity. Which direction would it develop in? An immortal emperor sighed. That's right. With the arrival of the Great Era, the future of the immortal realms is destined to be chaotic. Let's head to the Demon God Mountain to take a look. Right now, all the greater demons of the desolate mountains are madly rushing towards the Demon God Mountain. There's basically no one here to obstruct us. Before this, most probably, they already knew that the Demon God Mountain would descend and were afraid that our immortal realms would destroy it. The greater demons of the desolate mountains respect the Demon God Mountain like it's a god. The appearance of the Demon God Mountain is a sacred ceremony to them, and they wouldn't allow anyone to interrupt it. Naturally, they wouldn't allow people from the immortal realms to enter the desolate mountains. If we barged into the desolate mountains earlier, those greater demons would most probably start a war. No wonder there were only a few demon emperors among them. So it turns out that they were all waiting for the Demon God Mountain to appear. Many voices rang out, following which, numerous figures stepped out, heading towards the desolate mountain range. Brother Qin, let's go in and take a look as well. The Demon God Mountain is the supreme legend of the desolate mountains. It's the myriad Demon God Mountain. Nanfeng Mingyue spoke in a low voice to Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian nodded. No wonder little rascal summoned him earlier. That little fellow was extremely astute. He grew up on Qin Wentian's blood, and naturally knew that Qin Wentian had a powerful demonic bloodline in his body. Hence, little rascal summoned Qin Wentian, hoping that Qin Wentian would be able to obtain some benefits. The countless demonic beasts in the desolate mountains all vanished. With the appearance of the Demon God Mountain, all of them had to make a pilgrimage there. The demons with intelligence naturally knew the significance of the Demon God Mountain. Although they were only low-grade demonic beasts now, the fact that the Demon God Mountain could allow demons to undergo a transformation was a very rare opportunity. Although the chances were slim, they still had a sliver of hope that they would be able to make a comeback. The radiance grew more and more resplendent, illuminating the entire space. The desolate mountain seemed so divine, like a divine mountain that descended from the heavens, incomparably profound. Countless demonic beasts followed the path of the Demon God Mountain, moving step by step towards the Demon God Mountain, their expressions filled with reverence and agitation. The Demon God Mountain was as expected of a legend. It actually opened up a dimension in the desolate mountains, with many ancient paths leading to it. Many human cultivators sped over, moving as fast as lightning. Numerous immortal emperors were the first to arrive. When they saw the flashing light, they also saw the countless demonic beasts rushing over like the tides. After that, they rushed into the Demon God Mountain and entered it. After that, they headed towards different directions. This Demon God Mountain seemed to be able to contain countless demonic beasts from the desolate mountains. Humans, you dare to enter my desolate God Mountain? Are you courting death? A demon emperor glanced at the human immortal emperors as he coldly spoke. However, he didn't intend to stop them and directly entered the Demon God Mountain. Many immortal emperors hesitated. Although the Demon God Mountain was the #1 legendary place in the desolate mountains, it was still a sacred ground of the desolate mountains after all. They didn't know what they would encounter if they entered. Are there any records of the human Wu Xiao entering the Demon God Mountain in the ancient records? Someone turned his gaze to an immortal emperor from the Hokage Sengoku Kingdom. That immortal emperor stood in the air. His robes fluttered in the wind as he replied in a low voice, "Yes, but there are very few records. From the records we can tell that if there's good fortune, humans can also obtain good fortune in the Demon God Mountain. However, the benefits they obtained cannot be compared to the demonic beasts of the desolate mountains. No wonder they also stopped us, allowing us to enter." An immortal emperor spoke. "However, since we are already here, we have to enter no matter what to take a look at the secret of the desolate God Mountain." Someone sighed. They have already reached the immortal emperor realm. Right now, every step they took was as difficult as ascending the heavens. They would often head to some secret realms in the immortal realms to explore. Now that the #1 legendary place of the desolate mountains has appeared before them, how could they miss it? Haha, that's only natural. Numerous immortal emperors stepped out, entering the Demon God Mountain with no hesitation. Qin Wentian and the others also arrived here. Many of them came from the immortal realms Wu Xiao. All of them were powerful immortal kings from the various major powers. When they stared at the Demon God Mountain before them, their eyes gleamed with sharpness. The connection between me and little rascal has actually disappeared. He should have entered the Demon God Mountain, Qin Wentian mused. After that, numerous figures directly rushed into the Demon God Mountain. These were all the most outstanding immortal kings. The more powerful a character was, the more they wanted to temper themselves and see the world. Naturally, there were also those greater demons from the western regions, the Tianpeng people and the White Tiger people. All of them also had an extreme thirst for the Demon God Mountain. "Let's go," Qin Wentian spoke. He, Chongqing Long Hao and the experts from the Battle Saint tribe moved together, moving towards the Demon God Mountain. Staring at their backs, the eyes of many people from the Tenlon Heaven Kingdom, Supreme Sword School and the others flashed with coldness. Someone transmitted his voiceover. "There's an opportunity in the Demon God Mountain. Kill him." If we can find an opportunity, we will kill him as well as Chongqing Long Hao. Let's deal with them together and weaken the strength of the Evergreen Kingdom. They silently conversed. All of them had the thought of killing Qin Wentian. The news of the Demon God Mountain appearing in the desolate 10,000 mountain range was circulated to Skybreak City. After that, this news started to circulate at a terrifying speed. All the experts started to make use of teleportation arrays to head towards the desolate 10,000 mountain range. This was especially so for the demon races in the western regions. They all turned out in full force, filled with boundless yearning. Qin Wentian and the others stepped into the Demon God Mountain. Their immortal senses were instantly obstructed. They discovered that this Demon God Mountain blocked off immortal senses, and they could only use their eyes to observe everything. There's an independent dimension here that blocks off immortal senses. Right now, no matter what cultivation base one has, there wouldn't be too much of a difference. We can only use our eyes to observe everything. Chongqing Long Hao also discovered that his immortal senses were obstructed. This Demon God Mountain is right in front of us. It's connected to the heavens, like it came from the outer world. But in truth, it's an independent dimension that's located in the desolate mountains. It doesn't seem to belong to the immortal realms. In that case, where did this Demon God Mountain originate from? If it was in the past, maybe Qin Wentian wouldn't be so sensitive. But after learning of his father's experiences, he would often think of the 32 heavens outside the azure mystic immortal realms. It's truly very vast, boundless as far as the eye can see. As they spoke, they stepped forward, soaring through the air. There were many mysterious ancient mountains and tens of thousands of demonic beasts. In front of them, a demonic beast swooped down. This was a fiery bird. He swooped down and swallowed a fiery red plant, involuntarily letting out a long cry. His body was bathed in boundless flames, becoming incomparably terrifying in the blink of an eye. The flames towered up into the sky, exceeding his original aura. The fiery bird had an agitated look on his face. He soared up into the sky as the flames grew stronger and stronger. At this moment, the expression of the fiery bird drastically changed. His aura was still growing stronger and stronger, unable to be controlled. Finally, his body started to burn. This was a power that could even incinerate him. A scream of misery rang out. The fiery bird was transformed into a ball of blazing fire before turning into ashes. What a terrifying plant, able to cause the fiery bird to evolve. In fact, even the demon immortal fiery bird couldn't withstand the power of the plant. It surpassed the limits of his endurance and was incinerated. Nanfeng Mingyue's countenance changed. A random plant actually had such shocking power? Wasn't this heaven-defying? At this moment, screams of misery rang out unceasingly. Qin Wentian and the others saw many demonic beasts that were proficient in fire attribute energy being incinerated, as they walked towards the abyss of destruction. All of them had swallowed the same plant. How terrifying! Qin Wentian and the others continued forward. Below them, a powerful demonic qi gushed forth. It was a powerful demon king that had swallowed a demonic tree. After that, his originally gigantic body actually started to expand, becoming even larger. Terrifying wings appeared on his back, blotting out the sun. He howled in rage and soared up into the air, flying towards the horizons with an expression of incomparable excitement on his face. Look over there. A holy maiden of the Namhuang clan pointed in a certain direction. Very far away, a python could be seen spiraling in the air. After that, the python shed its skin as the scales on its body transformed, becoming even more majestic. Horns grew out of its body, claws grew out, and it let out a terrifying roar. That's a dragon python. It's currently transforming into a dragon. The holy maiden of the Namhuang clan exclaimed in shock as waves of shock rose in her heart. This was too unbelievable. The demonic beasts here all consumed the plant that grew on the Demon God Mountain. As long as the plant was suitable for them and they could control it, they would actually be able to evolve. How powerful would the desolate world be? Chapter 14:15. Qin Wentian's heart trembled as well. The cultivation of humans couldn't be accomplished in a single step. On this point, demonic beasts had an advantage over humans. The talent of demonic beasts was already determined from the moment they were born. What kind of achievements they would be able to reach. Hence, when demonic beasts obtained good fortune, they would usually be able to improve much faster compared to humans. The demon god mountain was known as the #1 legend of the desolate mountains, and it truly lived up to its name. Just the moment they entered, many of the heavenly ingredients and earthly treasures here could actually allow demonic beasts to evolve. Although their cultivation bases couldn't be directly raised, compared to cultivation bases, demonic beasts placed more importance on the evolution of their innate nature. Pythons were ultimately of the same species. They would only be able to transform into dragons after cultivating to an extremely high level. However, the treasures here could allow dragon pythons to transform into dragons. This wasn't as simple as raising their strength, it was a qualitative transformation of their innate nature. Such an effect was similar to the sacred luminance, but it was even more tyrannical. The demon god mountain was filled with sacred luminance. How terrifying was this place? No wonder the demons of the desolate mountains revered this place like a god. Naturally, since these were heaven-defying treasures, there would naturally be risks. Many demonic beasts would die miserably. The path of evolution of the desolate mountains would definitely lead to the deaths of countless greater demons, eliminating the weaker ones. Those that remained were all demons that had undergone evolution. There was no doubt that the strength of the desolate mountains would skyrocket. These are only ordinary demonic beasts of the desolate mountains. If demonic beasts of the royal bloodline of the desolate mountains underwent a transformation, how terrifying would they be? Nanfeng Mingyue spoke in a low voice, feeling worried for the immortal realms. The royal demons of the desolate mountains all have noble bloodlines, pure and powerful. If they want to evolve, the conditions would naturally be even harsher. I'm afraid ordinary treasures wouldn't be able to do it. Evergreen Longhao replied. Everyone nodded their heads in agreement. The same treasure would naturally have a weaker effect on demonic beasts with higher cultivation bases and stronger bloodlines. It would have a stronger effect on the weaker demonic beasts. As a result, those ordinary demonic beasts would directly die from the backlash of the treasure. They were too weak to withstand it. The divine mountain is unfathomably deep. We've only just entered. There must be some shocking secrets inside, Qin Wentian said. Let's keep going. Everyone nodded and continued on their way. Countless greater demons entered the demon god mountain. All of them wanted to obtain good fortune. No one bothered to deal with these humans. There was no need to. Hence, the humans Wuxiu who entered the demon god mountain were all extremely carefree. They all split up and moved forward while thinking about how the plants here were extremely beneficial to demonic beasts. What would happen if they were to consume them? The immortal senses of Qin Wentian and the others were obstructed. They could only soar through the air. Continuing forward, they didn't try to snatch the fruits from the demonic beasts below because if they did, they would surely attract the wrath of the greater demons. In addition, these items weren't able to move their hearts. Their target was the depths of the demon god mountain. They wanted to pry into the secrets of the demon god mountain. What made Qin Wentian and the others shocked was that even at this moment, the demon god mountain was still transforming. The demon god mountain was radiating boundless divine light that was even more dazzling than the sun. The light cascaded down on the surroundings, causing the landscape to change unceasingly. Sometimes, a crack would suddenly appear before Qin Wentian and the others as a towering mountain would appear. I sense a very powerful aura. It's faintly similar to the aura on my body. Nanfeng Mingyue suddenly spoke, her words causing Qin Wentian's eyes to flash. The people of the Namhuang clan all had the phoenix bloodline. If their auras were similar, there was a high possibility that a demonic beast with the phoenix bloodline would appear here. Which direction? Qin Wentian asked. That way. Nanfeng Mingyue pointed in a certain direction. After that, the immortal senses of everyone were obstructed, and they could only rely on their eyes. After a while, their gazes froze as they stared at a skeleton in the distance. That was an incomparably gigantic skeleton with its head held high. Even after it died, it was still so arrogant, unwilling to lower its head even in death. Its blood had already flowed dry, and its body no longer existed. Only a skeleton was left behind. However, even if it was just a skeleton, it still exuded an extremely tyrannical aura. Faint blood-colored runic light could be seen emanating from the skeleton. These were rune bones. This is a true phoenix. A skeleton left behind by a pure-blooded phoenix. The hearts of the Namhuang clan trembled. In this secret realm there was actually a phoenix skeleton with a pure-blooded bloodline. The demon god mountain was simply inconceivable. What place was this exactly? Up ahead there were many people here. There were experts from the desolate mountains as well as humans. Both sides seemed to be at loggerheads, staring at the phoenix skeleton as though they wanted to obtain it. Qin Wentian stared at the blood-colored rune bones on the skeleton. A powerful energy was imprinted on them. This skeleton was priceless and could be said to be a supreme treasure. It wasn't something those herbs and fruits that could allow demonic beasts to evolve could compare to. This phoenix should have been a demonic the arch when it was alive. A demonic beast that could reach the heavens. She had long formed her own Tao of nomological laws, and the bones in her body are all branded with unique nomological laws. The runic patterns on this skeleton might even be able to comprehend the inheritance methods of the true phoenix. Nanfeng Mingyue's eyes blazed with heat. Her Namhuang clan used the phoenix as their totem and cultivated many phoenix arts. However, there was no way they could be compared to a true phoenix that had a bloodline inheritance. Unless one reached the level of the Southern Phoenix matriarch, they could rely on themselves to comprehend many supreme techniques. The people gathered around the skeleton turned their gazes over. One of the greater demons coldly spoke, "Scram, this isn't a place where you can stay." The eyes of this greater demon were incomparably lofty. Although he was in human form, a pair of blood-colored wings could be seen on his back. Forak race. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed. "Scram, don't be a hindrance." A sharp voice rang out, berating Qin Wentian and the others. The person who spoke was none other than the human Wu Xiao. Before this, Qin Wentian had seen him fighting before. Shangguangjiani from the Supreme Sword School was extremely powerful, and had killed a greater demon, the Taotai. He was a peak genius from the Tiandao Sacred Academy, and had a cultivation base at the peak of the mid-stage of the Immortal King realm. The auras in the surroundings were in a frenzy. The humans here and the greater demons seemed to have already clashed before. Right now they were facing each other in the air. What a joke. You guys can stay in the Demon God Mountain but we can't? Qin Wentian's eyes turned cold as he icily spoke. The Supreme Sword School, how imposing. Nanfeng Mingyue coldly spoke. Could it be that her Namhuang clan didn't even have the qualifications to contend? Shangguangjiani actually dared to humiliate them? Yet another bunch of humans who don't know the immensity of death. An expert from the Forak race arrogantly spoke. They truly don't know the immensity of death. There was a golden sun bird that was bathed in flames, illuminating the surroundings. Your Namhuang clan wants this true phoenix skeleton? I'm afraid you guys aren't qualified enough. Another human from the Ying clan, Wu Xiao, coldly spoke. They and the Namhuang clan were both from the southern regions. They naturally wouldn't allow the skeleton to fall into the hands of the Namhuang clan. To contend for the treasures we will have to depend on our own capabilities. Qin Wentian calmly spoke. What a joke. Shangguangjiani frowned. His eyes gleamed with sharp swords staring straight at Qin Wentian. Although this true phoenix skeleton didn't have any direct use for the Supreme Sword School, it could be used to forge supremely powerful immortal rank treasures. The price of such a huge skeleton was incomparably high, comparable to emperor-ranked weapons. In fact, if it was in the hands of someone who needed it, the price would be even more terrifying. Although your combat prowess is extraordinary and your cultivation speed is godly, you are too arrogant and conceited. Just based on the likes of you, Chongqing Long Hao and Nanfeng Mingyue? Why don't you ask the two of them if they were as good as me in the Tiandao Sacred Academy? Let alone an initial stage immortal king like you, Qin Wentian. If there's no one protecting you, I can kill you with a single sword strike. Shangguangjiani's eyes gleamed with sharpness, piercing through space. Originally, there were already so many major powers competing for the treasures here. Now that Qin Wentian and the others are here to stir things up, things would be even more troublesome. He was treated as an esteemed guest by the Namhuang clan, thinking that he would have a glorious future ahead of him. Naturally, his arrogance is inflated, but he doesn't know how vast the immortal realms are. It isn't something that a mere motley crew from the Dongshangshan Gate can control. Nanfeng Mingyue, your Namhuang clan is protecting a junior so much, hoping that he would be able to grow stronger in the future. How lamentable. An expert from the Ing clan coldly spoke. If you still don't scram, I will deal with you guys first. They temporarily joined forces with the Supreme Sword School to deal with the two demonic powers. It was impossible for Qin Wentian and the others to be the fishermen to reap the benefits. Upon seeing the human Wuxiu starting a conflict, the Forok race and the Golden Sun Great Rock stood arrogantly in the air, staring at Qin Wentian and the others with disdain. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed. These fellows didn't want to deal with the demons, but wanted to suppress them instead. His eyes flashed with coldness as he spoke. Back then, I once fought with a junior from the Ing clan, Ingting. The so-called paragon sword experts of the Supreme Sword School were all extremely arrogant and arrogant. However, they were either humiliated by me or directly killed by me. Even if they didn't die, they would have long been left behind by me. I truly don't know what qualifications you all have to boast shamelessly, making a fool out of yourselves. Simply shameless. Don't know the immensity of death. An immortal king from the Ing clan spoke with incomparable arrogance. He stared at Qin Wentian as dragon roars echoed from him. He took a step out, exuding an incomparably tyrannical aura as he stared at Qin Wentian. Although you have many subordinates, if my Ing clan wants to kill you, you won't be able to live past tomorrow. My cultivation base is the same as yours. I'll give you a chance to fight against me. In case you say that my Ing clan is bullying you. When this person stepped out, he was like a true dragon, like a primordial beast, exuding an incomparably tyrannical aura. He was an expert from the Ing clan. A heaven chosen of the Ing clan and had tyrannical combat prowess. His Ing clan was one of the three ancient clans of the southern regions. No matter how imposing Qin Wentian was, he would dare to kill him directly. If you want to kill me, I won't be able to live past tomorrow? Qin Wentian coldly spoke. He stepped out and stared at the eyes of the people from the Supreme Sword School. He knew that many of them wanted his life after seeing him entering the Demon God Mountain. In that case, I truly want to see how you are going to kill me. Qin Wentian stepped out and unleashed his law domain. In an instant, a destructive devil might engulf this entire space. Help me seal off the interference of others. I want him to die. Qin Wentian calmly spoke. Several experts from the Battle Saint tribe nodded and stepped out, preparing to act at any moment. Chapter 14:16. You want me to die? That expert from the Ing clan laughed uproariously as the roars of dragons shook the sky. In the air, demonic qi gushed forth as an incomparably gigantic dragon manifested, blotting out the sky. It transformed into a law domain, capable of devouring everything. The entire space seemed to be under the belly of the dragon. Kill! That expert from the Ing clan roared. That true dragon swooped down, its gigantic body aiming for Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian's law domain erupted forth. Using God's hand as the foundation, it contained a myriad of transformations, capable of unleashing all sorts of innate techniques. A gigantic palm imprint appeared in the air, enveloping everything. This palm imprint shone with boundless runic light, capable of manifesting a myriad of innate techniques. The palm imprint directly shot towards the descending demonic dragon, manifesting a supreme devil saber that could destroy everything. This saber could split the heavens and earth apart, slamming into the incoming demonic dragon. Swishing sounds rang out as the demonic dragon was directly slashed apart from the middle. The countenance of that expert from the Ing clan changed. However, as an expert of the royal clan, how could he simply rely on the power of his law domain? He roared loudly, exuding a tyrannical aura, akin to a fiend god. He punched out with his fist as dragon roars shook the heavens and earth. 9 demonic dragons opened their maws wide, wanting to devour Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian stepped out, exuding boundless tyranny. He stood with his hands behind his back and soared into the air, manifesting another devil saber imprint. The devil saber of annihilation traversed 100 miles, slashing downwards. With a swishing sound, the demonic dragons were all slashed apart. No matter how tyrannical you are, I will slay you with a single saber strike. The saber continued forward. That expert from the Ing clan activated his bloodline and transformed into a true dragon, exuding a powerful aura. His entire person turned golden, the invulnerable golden body manifested. Even when the saber light slashed down, it had no way to break through his body. As an expert from the royal clan, an initial stage immortal king, how could his strength be underestimated? His attacks and defenses were both incomparably tyrannical. How will you kill me? His golden body was like a peerless overlord. His eyes shone with a brilliant light, and he was extremely confident and arrogant. Although Qin Wenqian's saber art was strong, he had cultivated a powerful body refining art, and he also had a powerful bloodline, the art of the true dragon, and the noble bloodline of the royal family. Even if Qin Wenqian's combat strength was extraordinary, he would still die. I'm just playing with you. Qin Wenqian only sneered when he saw this scene, causing the other party to feel extremely humiliated. Just playing around? Shameless. You're courting death. That expert from the Ying clan coldly spoke. However, he only saw boundless light radiating from Qin Wenqian, infusing it into his law domain. He still stood there with his hands clasped behind his back, but the palm imprints in the air seemed to fuse together as one. The gigantic palm imprints shone with boundless runic light, and gradually numerous destructive devil sabers manifested, wanting to suppress and destroy everything. Qin Wenqian took another step forward. Devil might gushed forth, so powerful that it was unexcelled in the world. The aura of the devil sabers abruptly soared to another level as the destructive devil sabers slashed down. This was especially so for the devil saber in the middle. It seemed to be formed from the convergence of countless devil sabers. Die! Qin Wenqian spat out a single word. The devil sabers slashed down, causing the expert from the Ying clan to howl in rage. However, the devil sabers continued to slash downwards. The devil saber in the middle slashed down, directly cleaving his body into two. With a swishing sound, even before the other experts from the Ying clan acted, he was already dead. You dare! A cold voice rang out. The experts from the Ying clan shot towards Qin Wenqian, only to see the experts from the Battle Saint tribe unleashing their terrifying might. Boundless battle might filled the air, unexcelled in the world, protecting Qin Wenqian behind him. Since I've already killed him, what's there to not dare? Do you really think I'm the same as you guys, only knowing how to talk big? Qin Wenqian glanced at the experts from the Ying clan. The people from the Ying clan can't even withstand a single strike at the same level. The Supreme Sword School is the same as well. I really don't know what qualifications you all have to behave so atrociously before me. This true phoenix skeleton can only be obtained by experts. If you all want to start a war, I'm more than happy to oblige. Right now, Qin Wenqian was already an immortal king expert. He naturally had the aura of an immortal king. He had enemies all over the world, especially in the eastern regions. There were countless people who wanted to kill him. He didn't mind making more enemies. Since there were people who dared to humiliate him, he would definitely repay them. If he could kill them, he would kill them. If he couldn't, he would kill them again after he grew stronger. On the path of the strong, taking a step back and enduring silently would only cause his opponents to push their luck and bully him. Only by using brute force would one be able to strike fear into the hearts of others. Peak stage immortal king. The experts from the Supreme Sword School and the Ying clan could feel the might of the experts from the Battle Saint tribe. For peak stage immortal kings, the might they unleashed during their battles was extremely terrifying. Your law domain seems to be a type of innate technique. What kind of innate technique is it? At this moment, an expert from the Forok race calmly asked as he stared at Qin Wenqian. Qin Wenqian glanced at him but didn't bother with him. When the expert from the Forok race saw that Qin Wenqian was ignoring him, he coldly laughed. If I didn't see wrongly, it should be the secret art of ancient Emperor Yi God's hand, right? To think that demons of the desolate mountains would actually know about the secret arts of the immortal realms. Qin Wenqian spoke. Humans of the immortal realms, how would they know about the strength of our royal races of the desolate mountains? Just a mere secret art, let alone knowing about it. Which of our royal races of the desolate mountains have inheritances that are weaker than the secret arts of your so-called ancient emperors? The expert from the Forok race arrogantly spoke, completely disregarding Wu Xiu from the immortal realms. They want to contend against us in the demon god mountain of the desolate mountains? The expert from the Forok race stared at the golden sun bird as he coldly laughed in disdain. Maybe they don't know who you are. One of the golden sun bird spoke. his voice filled with a tyrannical arrogance. They think that we are afraid of them, but they don't know that we are merely thinking about whether the skeleton belongs to our race or to yours. The expert from the Forok race spoke again. The two of them spoke one after another, completely ignoring Qin Wentian and the other experts. Let's not waste any more time. Whoever kills the most will get the skeleton. How about it? A young man from the Golden Sun bird spoke. Right. The expert from the Forok race nodded. After that, his body started to transform. His gigantic body that had the characteristics of both great rocks and phoenixes appeared in the air. His wings spread out, blotting out the sun. Blood-colored claws and wings gleamed with runic light, exuding incomparable sharpness. On the other side, the golden sun bird was clad in sun fire. His sharp claws held onto a golden sun spear, capable of melting everything in the world. Saint Lord, be careful. These two demons are extremely powerful. The experts from the Battle Saint tribe stood before Qin Wentian, feeling a sense of threat. These two greater demons were both peak-stage immortal kings, and from their tone, they seemed to be extraordinary characters from their respective races. There was a high possibility that they were the leaders of the royal races. Bzz, abruptly a raging wind gusted. Before everyone could react, that blood-colored Forok had already vanished from his original location, transforming into a blood-colored bolt of lightning. Now that their immortal senses were obstructed, their vision couldn't even follow the speed of the blood-colored Forok. Boom! A deafening sound rang out. A powerful immortal king from the Ying clan was blasted apart by a single strike. His entire person resembled blood-colored lava as his entire body started to burn. With a scream of agony, his body exploded, instantly killed. I didn't see this Forok earlier. His status is even higher compared to the Forok sent to obstruct us. Chongqing Longhao's expression stiffened when he saw this scene, feeling an intense sense of threat. On the other side, the golden sun bird also acted. The sun spear in its talons pierced out as a sun appeared, piercing through the heavens and earth. An immortal king was directly pierced through by the sun flames as he screamed in agony. Boom boom. Numerous supreme auras gushed forth. Those experts from the Forok race and Gold Sun race all unleashed their auras, blotting out the sun as though it was on the verge of destruction. Early-stage immortal kings weren't even enough to look at in the face of such a supreme battle. The blood-colored light shot towards Qin Wentian. The speed of the skyrock was inconceivably fast. The experts from the Battle Saint tribe stood in front of Qin Wentian. With a thunderous roar, battle might gushed forth as they blasted out gigantic palm imprints that covered the heavens and earth, blocking the incoming attack. Bang! Intense rumbling sounds echoed out. That expert from the Forok race floated in the air, staring at the experts below as he coldly laughed. Your strength isn't bad. As he spoke, his blood-colored body blazed with terrifying phoenix flames, wanting to incinerate everything. He transformed into a streak of blood-colored lightning once more. There was basically no way to track his movements. Saint Lord, his speed is too fast. It's best for us to retreat. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed. The combat prowess of a peak-level character from the Forok race was actually so terrifying, right? Qin Wentian immediately gave the order. After that, the group of them retreated. Many among them had no way to withstand the attacks of that fellow, and could only give up on the phoenix skeleton. Not only for Qin Wentian and his group, the experts from the Supreme Sword School and the Ying clan were also retreating. Those two fellows were simply too tyrannical, invincible existences below the immortal emperor realm. The demon god mountain didn't give chase. There were countless good fortune waiting for them in the desolate mountains. They didn't have the time to chase after these humans. What a pity. The runes on the phoenix skeleton might contain innate techniques or even true phoenix inheritance arts. Nanfeng Mingyue sighed. That demonic beast has the innate talent of both the great rocks and phoenixes. It's the same for the golden sun crows as well. If it can awaken the true phoenix inheritance arts, it would definitely be a supremely terrifying existence. No wonder they don't care about us immortal cultivators entering the demon god mountain. This is the desolate mountains, their territory. Even if there's good fortune here, we won't be able to snatch it away. Chongqing Longhao's status was extraordinary, but he couldn't help but to admit that the greater demons of the desolate mountains were extremely powerful. Right now, the various powers in the immortal realm should have already received the news. Before this, the number of experts from our respective races who came here was not too strong. Once this news circulates, the experts from the various peak powers would all come here, including those at the peak of the immortal king realm. At that time, the demonic beasts of the desolate mountains might not be able to gain an advantage. Nanfeng Mingyue spoke. No matter what, this demon god mountain would definitely be filled with experts. Even the Tiandao Sacred Academy isn't as lively as this. Qin Wentian stared at the demon god mountain as a look of anticipation flashed in his eyes. He naturally understood the reason why little rascal summoned him here. He possessed the bloodline of an incomparably powerful primordial greater demon. Maybe he would be able to obtain good fortune on the demon god mountain. Chapter 14:17. The demon god mountain was boundlessly vast, so vast that it was unimaginably vast. The demons of the desolate mountains all rushed towards the demon god mountain. The experts from the immortal realms also arrived and entered the demon god mountain. But even so, in front of the countless greater demons, the number of immortal realms Wuxiu was still very small. Qin Wentian continued on the demon god mountain, moving towards the ancient golden mountain in the sky. He wanted to unravel the secrets of the demon god mountain, and on the way there, he witnessed countless shocking things. The evolution of demonic beasts was happening in every corner of the demon god mountain. Naturally, compared to the evolution of demonic beasts, the number of demonic beasts that died was much more. Corpses could be seen everywhere on the demon god mountain. Even for Qin Wentian's group, they also killed many of the demonic beasts that came to invade. Our speed is too slow. After several months, Qin Wentian stared ahead as he spoke in a low voice. Everywhere they passed by, the number of greater demons was simply too many. When they were still stuck at Skybreak City, the greater demons of the desolate mountains had already made their preparations. In addition, there were demon emperors and immortal emperors clearing the path ahead. Even if there were treasures, they would all be swept away. The demons of the desolate mountains are countless, and there are also many royal demonic beasts. Just look at the Forok race and you will know how terrifying their speed is. If we compare speed with them, there's no chance of victory at all. Chongqing Longhao shook his head. In addition, we didn't expect the demon god mountain to be so vast. We can't even reach the end. There seems to be a structure up ahead. At this moment, a peak stage immortal king from the Battle Saint tribe spoke. The eyes of Qin Wentian and the others flashed as they stared ahead. They increased their speed as their hearts pounded. That wasn't a structure. It was a demon city that stood in the middle of a mountain range, extending endlessly all the way to the foot of the demon god mountain. Demon City, there's actually a vast demon city in the demon god mountain. Qin Wentian and the others arrived before the demon city and stared ahead. This demon city was extremely ancient and exuded an ancient aura. There was also a surge of demonic qi within. This was the aura left behind by the demonic beasts of the desolate mountains. We are getting closer and closer to the secret of the demon god mountain. Those demon emperors and immortal emperors, given their strength, most probably have already arrived at the foot of the demon god mountain. Nanfeng Mingyue spoke. Our immortal senses are obstructed, we have no way to probe too far away. We can only move forward step by step using our eyes to probe. But this also saves us some trouble. Qin Wentian spoke. If his immortal sense wasn't obstructed, most probably many people would directly lock onto him to kill him. But now that his immortal sense was gone, it wouldn't be easy for him to encounter anyone on the vast divine mountain. Let's go. After stepping into the demon city, they discovered that this place has already been occupied by greater demons of the desolate mountains. Powerful demon kings could be seen everywhere, and these demon kings would all be equivalent to immortal kings in the immortal realms. Demon kings were the same as immortal kings. It was extremely difficult to become one. However, given how vast the desolate mountains were, with the appearance of the demon god mountain, all the demon kings of the desolate mountains would rush over. In that case, the number of demon kings would definitely be terrifying, equivalent to the number of immortal kings in the entire immortal realms. They stepped into the demon city and continued forward, entering the depths of the city. Their target was still the same, the godly mountain. Only that godly mountain held the strongest attraction for them. What's going on? At this moment, The gazes of several peak-stage immortal kings froze as they stared ahead. Over there, a majestic demon palace could be seen. Within it, a terrifying storm of demonic chi could be felt. In the next instant, they saw that within the palace, the storm transformed into an army of demon kings formed from all sorts of demonic beasts. The hearts of Qin Wentian and the others trembled. There were hundreds of demon kings in this army, and their demonic chi permeated the air. At this moment, the disadvantage of having their immortal sense obstructed was revealed. Only when they got closer did they sense the danger. They are death spirits. Nanfeng Mingyue suddenly spoke. Qin Wentian and the others also discovered that although the aura of this demon army was terrifying, they weren't true demons. They had the bodies of death spirits, but their auras were truly tyrannical. There was no way to explain it. Could it be that the unique environment of the demon god mountain created them? Seems like this was the only explanation. Saint Lord, let's go. Qin Wentian spoke. Everyone instantly sped to the side. The demon king army directly chased after them. It was as though they didn't see any demonic beasts along the way. They were the only targets. Seems like they are only chasing after humans. Let's split up and try. Qin Wentian spoke. The experts from the three factions nodded. Qin Wentian and the experts from the Battle Saint tribe sped in one direction while Chongqing Long Hao and Nanfeng Mingyue, respectively, sped in another direction. Only to see that the Demon King army also split up, pursuing them in three different directions. This confirmed Qin Wentian's conjecture that these death spirits would only chase after humans. Continue to split up. Qi just needs to follow me. Qin Wentian spoke. After that, the experts from the Battle Saint tribe also split up. At this moment, those Demon King death spirits seemed to pause for a moment before they continued their pursuit. There weren't many people chasing after Qin Wentian and Qiyu now. After fleeing for a period of time, Qin Wentian stopped. He stared at Qiyu. Can you settle this? No problem. Qiyu nodded. He turned and stepped forward, letting out a thunderous roar that shook the heavens and earth. The divine ape immortal world. With a thunderous roar, he blasted out palm imprints that covered the entire sky. Terrifying rumbling sounds rang out as those death spirits were instantly annihilated. Qiyu didn't hesitate to rush over and unleashed his battle law domain, enveloping all the demonic beasts as he unleashed his most violent attacks. In just an instant, all the demonic beasts were annihilated. Young master, you have to be careful. Qiyu addressed Qin Wentian. It wasn't convenient for them to address him as Saint Lord in public. Hence, for the sake of convenience, they referred to him as Young Master Qin Wentian. Emicham, there are actually Demon King death spirits in this demon city. Qin Wentian trembled. The two of them changed their direction and continued towards the direction of the demon god mountain. On the way, they saw many demon palaces. This demon city seemed to be the territory of many greater demons. The most majestic demon palace was the king of a group of greater demons. What's that over there? Qiyu glanced in a certain direction and saw a few wolf kings gathered together. They were currently staring at a terrifying blood-colored statue and were activating some kind of mysterious energy. Their bodies shone with a blood-colored light, as though something was awakening. Could it be that the primogenitor of the desolate mountains once lived in this demon palace and left behind an inheritance that could stimulate their potential? Qin Wentian spoke in a low voice. A sharp howl rang out. After that, under the dumbfounded gazes of Qin Wentian and Qiyu, one of the wolf kings grew even larger. A pair of blood-colored wings grew on its back as its forehooves grew thicker and its claws sharper. Mysterious blood-colored runes could be seen revolving around its body. Seems like Saint Lord is right. Demon wolves aren't demonic beasts with high-grade bloodlines, but there would occasionally be some shocking wolf kings. Their inheritances are unable to be passed down through bloodlines like those saint beasts. They can only rely on other methods. Qiyu spoke. Qin Wentian nodded. Over there are many demon kings fighting for something. Qiyu pointed in another direction. Also, there are many talisman bones there. Each of these talisman bones contains a powerful energy that radiates light, condensing into the shadow of a demonic beast. The shadow of a greater demon could be seen in a certain place. It was born from the power of the talisman bones. Many greater demons were surrounding that place, feeling this mysterious energy. There are opportunities everywhere. The demons of the desolate mountains are really going to undergo a transformation. Qin Wentian sighed. Ever since they stepped into the demon god mountain, they had encountered many opportunities along the way. The demons of the desolate mountains all evolved. Young Lord also cultivates in demonic energy. The energy left behind in the demon king's palaces might be of help to young Lord. Why don't you go down and take a look? Qiyu suggested. Qin Wentian continued forward, having no intentions of stopping. Ever since you stepped into the demon god mountain, you have already seen it. There are endless opportunities along the way, and the further you go, the greater the opportunities. What kind of opportunities would there be in the demon god mountain? Qin Wentian stared in that direction and spoke in anticipation. But the further we go, the more powerful the greater demons would be. The danger would also be greater. Actually, some of these demonic beasts are very smart and are satisfied with obtaining the inheritances within their capabilities. Qiyu was somewhat worried. Qin Wentian was coveting the secrets of the demon god mountain. Although he knew that Qin Wentian was ambitious, he could sense that the danger level was gradually increasing. This was especially so when Qin Wentian was only a human. Qiyu, I understand what you mean. Go and find your own inheritance. There's no need to follow me. Qin Wentian spoke. Young Lord. Qiyu's countenance changed, but before he could say anything, demonic qi gushed forth from Qin Wentian's body. With a buzzing sound, the silhouette of a great rock blotted out the skies, exuding a demonic aura that resembled a true demonic beast. Didn't you discover that these demonic beasts of the desolate mountains wouldn't act against other demonic beasts unless there's a direct conflict? They are as intelligent as humans and hope for the desolate mountains to grow stronger. Hence, as long as there's no direct conflict, they would be willing to see all demons evolve. Qin Wentian spoke. Hence, it's very safe to remain in the form of a demon. I've already made up my mind. Go on. As he spoke, the great rock spread its wings and soared into the air, flying towards the demon god mountain. Qiyu stared at Qin Wentian as his eyes gleamed with sharpness. After that, he lifted his foot and continued forward. Qin Wentian didn't want him to protect the Saint Lord, but he couldn't really leave just like that. Even if he didn't travel together with Qin Wentian, he still had to follow behind and observe in secret. If there's any danger, he would still have to act. After all, even if Qin Wentian's combat prowess could fight against mid-stage immortal kings, it was still insufficient in this demon god mountain. Qin Wentian, who was in the form of a great rock, soared through the air, no longer stopping. On the way, many greater demons inclined their heads and stared at him. But since he didn't have any intentions of seizing treasures from the desolate mountains, no one obstructed him. Soaring through the air, his eyes swept through the scenes below as shock filled his heart. This demon city seemed to be a place where a supremely powerful demonic beast that guarded the demon god mountain for generations passed by, leaving behind countless inheritances. However, this demonic beast seemed to be guarding the demon god mountain, as though it was protecting it. In that case, what was on the demon god mountain? Qin Wentian, who was advancing, finally got closer and closer to the demon god mountain, arriving at the end of the demon city. Although he was flying through the air, he still had to stare up at the demon god mountain. This demon god mountain seemed to be connected to the heavens. There was no end to it. Chapter 14:18. Above the demon god mountain, divine light flashed, incomparably resplendent. There was only a single path leading to the peak of the demon god mountain, an ancient path that was filled with divine light. It seemed like only this path was the correct one to ascend the demon god mountain. This path was extremely wide. Qin Wentian transformed into a great rock and soared up the ancient path. On the ancient path, many experts descended. There were humans and demonic beasts, but everywhere they went, they were all extraordinary. Many of them were peak-stage demon kings and immortal kings. There were even a few peak-stage demon kings at the mid-stage and peak-stage immortal kings. Although there were also some ordinary mid-stage demon kings, they were very few in number. As for the low-stage demon kings, there was basically no one there. Many demonic beasts glanced at him with contempt before shifting their gazes away. A low-stage demon king actually dared to come to the demon god mountain to seek good fortune? It was fine if he just wanted to take a look. But if he wanted to see something, he would simply be courting death. Qin Wentian naturally wouldn't care about the thoughts of others. He transformed into a great rock and came to the demon god mountain for convenience. As long as they didn't obstruct him, why would he care about the gazes of disdain? Qin Wentian knew that his initial stage Immortal King cultivation base wasn't enough to stand on the demon god mountain. If he wanted to explore the secrets of the demon god mountain, he had to keep a low profile. If not, it would be impossible for him to ascend to the peak of the demon god mountain. What a dazzling light! That's an ancient sun tree. Exclamations of shock rang out. Up ahead there was a blazing light that was even more dazzling compared to the sun. Qin Wentian's eyes gleamed with light of truth. He ignored the blinding light and continued forward. At the boundary of this ancient path, there was a gigantic ancient tree. This tree was none other than the sun tree. Every single leaf on this ancient tree was in the shape of a sun, shooting out sunlight. It possessed an incomparably powerful and blazing aura, as well as dazzling sunlight that shot out. Above this ancient tree, numerous golden sunbirds could be seen circling in the air. These gigantic mutated sunbirds seemed to be comprehending the profoundness contained within each and every leaf. Other than this, there was also a group of human experts beside them. They came from a peak power in the central regions, the sacred sun sect. They cultivated the purest form of sun energy. A shrill cry rang out as an incomparably powerful golden bird plucked a leaf from the tree and placed it in its mouth. After chewing on it, its entire body emitted a resplendent sunlight as countless runes appeared on its body, mysterious and unfathomable. An instant later it flapped its wings, as though they contained profound mysteries within, transforming into an innate technique. Resplendent runic light shone, capable of incinerating everything. After a while, he plucked another leaf and put it in his mouth to chew as if he was enjoying the most wonderful delicacy in the world. The eyes of those from the sacred sun sect flashed with coldness. These golden sunbirds were mutated from golden crows and had the innate talent of golden crows. The power of the sun was fused into their blood, engraved into their bones. But for humans, they could only rely on their own comprehension. This point made them much weaker. The talent of these peak-level demonic beasts was truly enough to make others jealous. Qin Wentian glanced at them for a moment before he continued upwards. Not long after, he saw another extremely beautiful ancient tree. This ancient tree actually transformed into a human-shaped face, and with a single glance, it seemed as though one would fall into a trance, deeply attracted to it. It exuded an extremely strong charm and illusionary power. The great rock spread its wings and flew forward, not stopping at all. On the way, he saw all sorts of mysterious sceneries, broadening his horizons as he sighed in admiration at the wonders of the Demon God Mountain. If one were to say that in the desolate regions of the Demon God Mountain, the grass and trees growing on the ground could cause ordinary demonic beasts to evolve, then the miraculous plants growing on the Demon God Mountain would be able to cause powerful demon kings to evolve even further. Qin Wentian continued on. Finally, when he arrived at a certain location, he stopped again. Beside the ancient path, a destructive aura ravaged this entire space. The light of destruction and the radiance of the Demon God Mountain were intertwined together. At the side of the ancient path, there was a towering ancient vine king that soared up into the sky, blotting out the sun. Many branches and leaves grew on the vine, opening and closing unceasingly, resembling pairs of terrifying eyes that could cause one to fall into a trance. Below this towering ancient vine king, there were many terrifying experts. Most of them were demon gods, but there was also an extraordinary human, Wu Xiao. This is the totem tree of the evil god race. What are you looking at here for? A Forok passed by and glanced at Qin Wentian as he spoke in a cold voice. The desolate mountains were extremely vast. The Forok race had merged with the Phoenix race and Great Rock race. Although he had never seen the Great Rock Qin Wentian transformed into before, he knew that he was a Great Rock. Hence he chided. I'm here to take a look. Qin Wentian's voice was low as demonic chi gushed forth from him. Humph! That Forok expert transformed into a beam of light and vanished from sight. Qin Wentian remained below the ancient tree. As expected, there were many experts from the evil god race here. They seemed to have opened their third eyes, evil eyes that could destroy everything. They were extremely demonic and terrifying. Among them, there was even an expert from the evil god race whose aura of destruction seemed to be burning. His evil eyes shone with a blood-colored light, terrifying to the extreme. His eyes seemed to be burning with the power of his bloodline. It's awakening. The other experts from the evil god race all had expressions of excitement on their faces when they saw this scene. This was the awakening of their evil eyes. Many of the demon races were transcendent demonic beasts and had inherited bloodline powers. However, this power was always hidden and wouldn't be awakened the moment they were born. Only after they grew stronger would they truly awaken it. Not only for demonic beasts, many humans were the same as well. An example was the experts from the Battle Saint tribe. Also, this kind of awakening could be divided into deep and shallow awakenings. In the history of the Battle Saint tribe, it was precisely because the Paragon Battle Saint bone was forcefully extracted by others that they lost their strongest inheritance. For the evil god race, they were born with evil eyes. However, their evil eyes needed to be awakened first. This was an inheritance power that belonged to their race. Only experts from the evil god race who could awaken their evil eyes would be able to become the royal members of the evil god race. They would be lofty existences that surpassed ordinary tribesmen. However, the ancient Vine King could actually help them to awaken their evil eyes. Other than the experts from the evil god race, there were also experts from the Scorpion King race, Nether Ao, and many other demonic races here. There were also a few humans like Wu Xiao, experts from the Nibelsky sacred cult, and a royal member from the Sanluo Immortal Empire. All of them cultivated the law of destruction. Qin Wentian's existence seemed somewhat out of place. Although there were different types of great rocks, other than the wind-attributed great rocks, there were also differences in the other attributes. However, he had never heard of any great rocks cultivating the law of destruction unless they were mutated great rocks. No one disturbed Qin Wentian. He quietly floated beside the evil vine. The branches and leaves of the vine were like terrifying vortexes, causing Qin Wentian to feel like he was about to be sucked into it. His entire body was enveloped by the aura of destruction. Qin Wentian's body shimmered with the light of law energy. This was an inheritance treasure of the demon god mountain. Its might was even more tyrannical when compared to the plants below. Even if one didn't devour it, if one didn't have enough strength, they would still die just by standing beside it. If one wasn't at the immortal king realm, just glancing at the evil vine would result in death. Qin Wentian, who was in the form of a great rock, was surrounded by the vortex of destruction. The energy of destruction coursing through his body was actually absorbing the energy bit by bit. Qin Wentian stared ahead as the bloodline in his body started to tremble. In the center of Qin Wentian's brows, a demonic eye appeared as well. Could it be that this evil Vine King is able to activate some kind of inheritance power? Even my bloodline is being affected by it. Qin Wentian silently mused. The great rock flew forwards, getting closer and closer to the evil Vine King. After that, Qin Wentian learned from the evil god race and began to absorb the destructive energy flowing on the vine. Bit by bit, the destructive energy was absorbed into Qin Wentian's body. Is this great rock courting death? An expert from the evil god race glanced at the great rock. Qin Wentian actually dared to absorb the destructive energy of the Vine King. Such destructive energy was something that even initial stage immortal kings who cultivated the destructive law attribute would find it hard to endure. It was like how the demonic beasts were incinerated when they swallowed the grass earlier. After Qin Wentian absorbed the energy, a terrifying destructive energy circulated within his body, fusing into his bloodline. In an instant, his bloodline seemed to be bestowed with a destructive law attribute, extremely terrifying to the extreme. What made Qin Wentian even more shocked was that within his bloodline, there seemed to be some sort of transformation happening. There seemed to be some sort of mysterious mysteries being manifested. The totem tree of the evil god race is able to activate the inheritance power of the evil god race, awakening the evil eye. Since I have a powerful demonic bloodline and cultivate the destructive law attribute, I can actually sense the awakening of this type of mysterious mysteries. Could it be that the demonic bloodline flowing in my body is able to replace the bloodline of the evil god race? Qin Wentian silently mused. He knew that his bloodline was extraordinary. If he could unleash the power of the evil god race's bloodline, this meant that his bloodline would be able to replace the bloodline of the evil god race. The great rock breathed out. Although his body was enveloped by the destructive light, He continued to absorb the destructive energy. At the same time, his 3 eyes stared ahead. He wanted to see if he could truly be like the evil god race, awakening the power of the evil god race. Even if he couldn't directly awaken it, if he could comprehend it, it would still be extremely meaningful. Qin Wentian stopped in front of the Vine King on the ancient path. Although he wanted to ascend to the peak of the Demon God Mountain, everything was ultimately for the sake of strength. If he could obtain some sort of confirmation, he might be able to cultivate more than just the inheritance of the evil god race. On the ancient path of the Demon God Mountain, more and more experts arrived. No one would care about an initial stage Demon King Great Rock. There were simply too many saint beasts here, and all of them were royal greater demons of the desolate mountains. Unless one was a golden-winged great rock, they wouldn't stand out at all. Time slowly flowed by. Qin Wentian's third eye grew more and more terrifying. As it opened and closed, a terrifying vortex of destruction could be seen. It was actually somewhat similar to the inheritance power of the evil god race. This great rock seems to have mutated. Someone at the side spoke. At this moment, Qin Wentian halted his cultivation. He glanced to the side and that expert only felt a pair of terrifying evil eyes of destruction appearing, enveloping him within the evil eye domain. But in the next instant, this feeling vanished without a trace. Chapter 14:19. Qin Wentian, who was in the form of a great rock, continued on the ancient path. On the way, he saw too many demonic beasts awakening their innate talents. His heart trembled, but his gaze was as resolute as ever. The appearance of the Tiandao Sacred Academy, the descent of the Demon God Mountain, regardless of the immortal realms or the desolate mountains, all of these indicated that an extraordinary era was about to arrive. There might be demon gods or ancient emperors appearing. In such an era, he had no way to stop others from growing stronger. In that case, he could only strengthen himself. Even if his cultivation base was weaker, he still wanted to go to the peak of the Demon God Mountain to take a look. Just like this, Qin Wentian finally arrived at the peak of the Demon God Mountain. He could no longer see the bottom of the mountain. Ahead of him, light cascaded downwards as an extraordinary path appeared. Over there, many people halted, not daring to advance. Qin Wentian walked over. He saw the supreme greater demons from the desolate mountains, as well as the experts from the peak powers of the human world. The most powerful group of people were the first to arrive here. The higher the talent of humans and demonic beasts, the stronger their desire to ascend the Demon God Mountain would be. They had the qualifications to do so, they thirsted for power. But even so, there were still people hesitating to advance. He glanced ahead on the vast ancient path. There were many experts, but they were moving very slowly. Every step they took was extremely arduous, as though there was a supreme pressure pressing down on them. Not a single demon or human could fly in the air. They could only walk on the ground, advancing step by step. Also, Qin Wentian discovered that their movements were all restricted, and they would occasionally be ambushed. These attacks seemed to originate from the void. There was no reason for them to do so. This space seems to be able to differentiate one's cultivation base. Someone spoke in a low voice. Didn't you guys see it earlier? Even demon emperors are restricted, and the attacks they have to endure are equivalent to their cultivation bases. They can only rely on their physical bodies and innate talents to defend against the attacks. If they are not strong enough, only death awaits them. Wanting to ascend to the peak of the Demon God Mountain? How can ordinary mortals have the slightest bit of hope? Only the kings of the greater demons of the desolate mountains would have the qualifications to resist this force. This is the Demon God Mountain of our desolate mountains, a legendary place, a divine place. Humans are not allowed to enter. Only those of the royal bloodline can enter. If humans enter, they would only be courting death. A cold and tyrannical voice rang out, after which a thunderous rumbling sound rang out as an incomparably gigantic devil ape stepped into it. In an instant he felt a terrifying pressure bearing down on him, but he still continued forward. Although his speed was slow, his countenance was incomparably resolute. Chi! A terrifying golden spear pierced through the void, directly appearing from nothingness and killing towards the demonic ape. It was unknown where it came from, but it seemed to be a super formation that had evolved from this space itself. Roar! That demonic ape let out a heaven-shaking roar of rage, shattering everything. Devilish light circulated around its body as the golden spear pierced through it. However, it wasn't able to break through its defenses. Qin Wentian quietly floated there. His gaze was sharp as he stared ahead. Seems like it wouldn't be so easy for him to ascend to the peak of the Demon God Mountain. He would definitely have to experience some dangers. Bang! An expert bathed in boundless lightning radiance stepped out. He sensed the energy within, and after that, he started to advance. An expert from the Thunder God Hall. The eyes of everyone flashed. That expert was bathed in lightning, and an instant later, an attack blasted over. The shadow of a terrifying demonic beast howled as it tore through the air. Boom! The lightning tribulation descended from the heavens, protecting his body, destroying everything in its path. Releasing his resplendent astral souls, the entire world transformed into a world of lightning and thunder. When the demonic beasts got close to him, they were instantly destroyed by the might of the tribulation. The experts here all stepped out one after another. When Qin Wentian saw the experts entering, he, who was in the form of a great rock, entered as well. In just an instant, a supreme pressure bore down on him, directly forcing him to lie flat on the ground. His sharp claws dug into the ground for support. This pressure seemed to be in balance with his cultivation base, suppressing him. This domain isn't a place for fun. You are just an ordinary Great Rock Demon King. Why are you trying to join in the fun? It's still not too late to leave now. Go down there and search for your good fortune. Not far away from Qin Wentian, there was an incomparably lofty golden-winged great rock of the royal race. Its entire body was cast from gold and shone with a supreme golden light. When the attacks blasted towards it, they actually had no way to break through its defenses. In such a place, powerful royal demonic beasts clearly had an advantage compared to humans. I want to give it a try. Qin Wentian's voice was hoarse. Since he transformed into a great rock, it was for the sake of concealment. Since he was being misunderstood as a great rock, he didn't mind being looked down upon. This was the result he wanted. Only by being looked down upon would those demon kings feel that he wasn't qualified to contend against them. Truly not knowing the immensity of the heavens and earth, a candle dragon walked past him. His body was gigantic and exuded an incomparably imposing aura. Even a great rock wants to enter the Demon God Mountain. Although it's like an ant trying to shake a tree and has no idea of the immensity of the Demon God Mountain, it can still be considered courageous. Why should we hesitate? More and more greater demons entered. Initially, they were still observing, but they were all incited by Qin Wentian. This caused Qin Wentian to be speechless. Courage? Nothing but ignorance. In another direction, a human coldly laughed. This was an expert from the Sanluo Immortal Empire. Qin Wentian didn't bother with him. The greater demons and humans advanced together. There were even a few Empyrean-level greater demons who thought highly of themselves, blocking Qin Wentian and the other greater demons. Stand behind me. At this moment, an old rock king walked in front of Qin Wentian and spoke. Qin Wentian blinked. The old rock king's cultivation base was very strong. He was a peak stage, mid-stage immortal king. However, the pressure he was under was also extremely great. When he saw that Qin Wentian was from the same race, he actually wanted to protect Qin Wentian. Boom! In the sky, golden boulders smashed down like meteors, whistling through the air. Each boulder smashed towards the crowd, bringing with it an astonishing gravitational force and destructive power. This was not just a single boulder, it was an attack, a targeted attack. Each boulder's attack power was different. Given the movement speed of everyone, it was basically impossible for them to evade. They could only face it head-on. An expert from the Sun Gold race spat out a golden sun spear that pierced through the air, piercing through the boulders as a thunderous boom rang out. An expert from the Heaven Hole Demon race was even more tyrannical. He directly raised both his hands. An expert from the Supreme Sword School spat out Paragon Sword Chi. An expert from the Thunder God Hall unleashed tens of thousands of meters of tribulation lightning, rushing upwards. There were also experts from the Jiang clan whose bodies were shrouded in resplendent Buddhic light, as well as the protection of arhats. The Reverend from the Wenshin Temple glanced over there. Buddhic light towered up into the sky as he transformed into an indestructible golden body. The various demon races and supreme geniuses from the various immortal realms all unleashed their innate techniques. The old rock in front of Qin Wentian spat out a raging wind, tearing everything apart. He even split out a strand of his energy to help Qin Wentian shatter the boulders above him, causing Qin Wentian, who was prepared, to be stunned. This old rock's talent wasn't too strong, but he had cultivated for a long time. His innate techniques were also quite powerful. Although it was strenuous for him, not only did he manage to block Qin Wentian's attack, he even helped Qin Wentian out. Many thanks. Qin Wentian spoke in a low voice. Be more careful on the path ahead. We aren't from the golden-winged royal tribe and our talent isn't that high. The demon god mountain is unfathomable, and there are probably countless attacks aimed at us. We are of the same species, there's no harm in helping you out. That great rock spoke in a low voice. Qin Wentian actually felt somewhat moved. Demonic beasts would kill each other cruelly, but sometimes, there would also be demonic beasts that cared about emotions. The old rock actually helped Qin Wentian to share a lot of the burden. He kept walking in front of Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian felt somewhat apologetic and told Qin Wentian to handle it himself. However, the old rock didn't move at all. He merely spoke, I've cultivated for too long and am already very old. This time I came here to the Demon God Mountain as a final gamble. I don't have much hope and might even die here. My cultivation base is high, it's more than enough to deal with the attacks aimed at you. You should conserve your strength and try your best to pass this path. Qin Wentian was speechless when he heard these words. As they continued forward, the attacks grew more and more violent. However, the majority of the experts were still able to defend. But Qin Wentian still personally saw an extremely powerful mid-stage immortal king from the Nibble Sky sacred cult dying. He couldn't endure the attacks because his physique was weaker. Under the situation where his movements were restricted and he could only endure the attacks head-on, he had no way to continue. After blocking another wave of attacks, there was still no end to the ancient path. The old rock clearly felt somewhat fatigued. Senior, there's no need to share the burden of the attacks for me. I'm fine by myself. Qin Wentian sincerely spoke. There's still a long path ahead. It's still too early for you. The old rock calmly spoke. Do you really think that a mere rock would be able to pass through? Stop dreaming. Old fellow, it's truly surprising that you are still alive. An expert from the evil god race at the side spoke, as though he was mocking. Even he felt that it was very strenuous for him, yet this old rock was still alive. This old undying fellow is truly interesting. One of the Nether AO also laughed. It felt that these two Pongs were very interesting and it looked like it was watching a good show. If you guys are from my race, I might feel pity for you. Sadly, you guys didn't submit to my race. A powerful Forok arrogantly spoke, as though he was unexcelled in the world. That initial stage demon king is actually still alive. We are struggling so hard to resist, but he's actually hiding behind a rock that's on the verge of death. A human expert coldly laughed. This was an expert from the Sacred Sun sect. Even he felt that it was extremely hard for him to continue enduring. The pressure was immense, yet the old rock actually didn't die. That little bastard was only able to survive until now because he was under the protection of the old rock. This caused him to feel extremely unhappy. Old Senior's willpower and strength are both extraordinary. Why must everyone slander him like this? Qin Wentian could see that the old rock was already very fatigued, yet he was still being humiliated by these people. At this moment, an intense sense of danger suddenly descended. The shadow of a gigantic white tiger appeared from the void, letting out heaven-shaking roars as it rushed towards the human experts. The old rock king's expression was incomparably heavy as he spoke. You have to depend on yourself. Right, Senior, please take care of yourself. Qin Wentian nodded. Humph, you should have depended on yourself long ago. Go to hell. When the old rock king and the white tiger shadow collided, that expert from the Sacred Sun sect actually spat out a breath of air at the old rock king. In an instant, a destructive sun manifested, burning everything in its path. The old rock howled in rage as he was struck by the white tiger. After that, the sun's flames directly enveloped him, burning him in an extremely miserable manner. Senior. Qin Wentian had a look of shock on his face. He wanted to move, but he discovered that an incomparably tyrannical pressure was pressing down on him, making it impossible for him to move. Under his shocked and angered gaze, the old Rock King was directly incinerated to death. Chapter 14:20. Qin Wentian, who was in the form of a great rock, circulated a terrifying demonic qi. He allowed the illusory white tiger to slash at him. His body trembled violently, yet he didn't budge an inch. With a roar of rage, he spat out a sharp sword that pierced through the head of the illusory white tiger, killing it. His eyes were cold as he stared at the expert from the Sacred Sun sect. Why? You can't accept it? The expert from the Sacred Sun sect stared at Qin Wentian with disdain as he spoke. This old rock originally should have died. I'm just sending him off in advance. It's already a humiliation for you to hide under the protection of the old rock until here. But from the looks of that attack of yours, it seems that you have some strength and your physique is very strong. Demons are demons after all. Even if you aren't from the royal clan of the Great Rock race, your physique is still extremely powerful. But that attack of yours shouldn't be easy to endure, right? Qin Wentian didn't bother to reply. He continued coldly staring at his opponent. That expert had a look of disdain on his face. If you want revenge, I can kill you anytime I want. Just spitting out a mouthful of sunfire will allow you to accompany the old rock. Do you believe me? I do. Qin Wentian spoke in a low voice when he saw the sunfire in the eyes of the expert from the Sacred Sun sect. After that, he turned his eyes away, no longer looking at his opponent. Humph! The expert from the Sacred Sun sect had a look of disdain in his eyes as he continued forward. In fact, he couldn't even be bothered to kill Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian was just an initial stage rock. Without the protection of the old rock, he would definitely die here. He couldn't be bothered to act. If you can survive and continue forward, you will obtain some benefits and undergo a transformation and evolution. Then you might have a chance to take revenge. Otherwise, they can crush you here as easily as crushing an ant. The expert from the Forok race calmly spoke. The demon race worshipped combat. If Qin Wentian had a chance to evolve, he would take revenge. But if he didn't, he could just die on his own. That old rock deserves death. He can't even endure it himself, yet he is still blocking attacks for a junior. He will die sooner or later. The greater demon from the evil god race sneered in disdain. Even he couldn't hold on much longer. It was simply a humiliation for a rock to come here while being protected. Qin Wentian turned a deaf ear to the voices of the outside world, as though he didn't hear the mockery and ridicule directed at him. This place was a gathering place for greater demons and supreme geniuses of the immortal realms. Ordinary demonic beasts and humans basically wouldn't be able to come here. He transformed into a great rock because he wanted to keep a low profile. If he was in his true form, he might not even be able to come here. The more powerful a battle was, the more brutal it would be. Right now, there were no direct conflicts between these people, but once there was, it would be a clash of slaughter. Qin Wentian's eyes gleamed with coldness as killing intent flashed in his heart. However, he knew what he had to do now. Hence, his footsteps were as resolute as ever. More and more attacks blasted over. All the experts were defending. Qin Wentian discovered that those demonic beasts with extremely high bloodlines and inherited innate techniques were the most tyrannical. Although it was hard for them to move, they could rely on their innate talent and inherited innate techniques to ignore all attacks, allowing them to widen the distance between them step by step. Naturally, there were also some humans like Wu Xiao. Their talent was at the peak and they had inconceivably powerful innate techniques. Their law domains were simply terrifying. And when they unleashed their astral souls within their law domains, they were even more terrifying. Qin Wentian was as low profile as ever, completely inconspicuous. Every time an attack landed, he would have to endure it with great difficulty before shattering it. Behind him, more and more Empyreans arrived. When they saw a great rock at the initial stage, all of them had looks of disdain on their faces. On this ancient pathway, Qin Wentian personally witnessed the deaths of many powerful experts. Their movements were restricted here, and they could only rely on their innate talent and innate techniques. Even for the royal demon kings of the desolate mountains, there were many who died here. On the ancient pathway leading to the peak of the demon god mountain, it was destined that countless demonic beasts would awaken and evolve. But at the same time, there would also be many corpses left behind in the Demon God Mountain. To the desolate 10,000 mountain range, this was an evolution, a cruel evolution. As for the humans of the immortal realms, those who could reach here were all geniuses at the peak of humanity. But even so, their gains were limited. This Demon God Mountain was none other than the Demon God Mountain. Finally, Qin Wentian, who was in the form of a great rock, managed to traverse this part of the path with much difficulty. It was as though the path he had walked was extremely bumpy, and when he exited, several gazes turned to him, including those powerful demonic beasts and humans who had traveled together with him. Their eyes flashed with bewilderment. "You actually survived and made it here?" The expert from the Sacred Sun sect who killed the old Rock King had a look of interest on his face. The expert from the Foarok race also felt bewildered. Although great rocks were also extraordinary demonic beasts, they weren't of the royal bloodline. It was extremely difficult for them to make it here. This great rock's luck isn't bad. Seems like the death of the old Rock King helped him. A demon god from the evil god race calmly spoke. Many people nodded. Seems like what the old Rock King did before did have some meaning. But so what of it? In the end, only death awaited him. The path ahead was basically not a path he could take. Qin Wentian glanced ahead. There were many experts here, including demon emperors and immortal emperors. They stood at the very front, staring at the ancient pathway that led to the peak. Over there were many powerful greater demons guarding it. These greater demons weren't from the desolate mountains but were from the desolate mountains. They had always been guarding this place and didn't exude the aura of life. Yet they exuded a terrifying might, like puppets of the Demon God Mountain. These puppets were guarding the entrance of the Demon God Mountain, blocking the way for those who wanted to enter this place. Before this, there were powerful demonic beasts trying to barge in, but they were all forced back, narrowly losing their lives. There are so many immortal emperors here. Qin Wentian's heart trembled. The speed of immortal emperors was truly fast, arriving here before immortal kings. He could even see the Chongqing the Great among them, as well as some supreme peak stage immortal emperors from the immortal realms. One of them was an extremely beautiful and holy immortal emperor. Boundless multicolored light revolved around her. Just by standing there, she was incomparably dazzling and beautiful to the extreme. Her beauty was actually comparable to Princess Kitamura, a peak stage beauty from the northern regions. Behind her, Qin Wentian saw a familiar figure. It was none other than Nanfeng Guhong and a few other female cultivators. Southern Phoenix Matriarch? Qin Wentian glanced at that incomparably powerful female. Did the Southern Phoenix Matriarch of the Namhuang clan personally come here? The Southern Phoenix Matriarch had the Phoenix bloodline and had some connection with demons. It was understandable why she would come here. Right now, the desolate mountain range was about to rise and the Tiandao Sacred Academy had appeared in the immortal realms. All the peak powers could feel the changes in the immortal realms. They had to strengthen their strength and prepare for a rainy day. Not only the Southern Phoenix Matriarch, the Supreme Beauty Princess Kitamura stood behind a middle-aged man. That middle-aged man was like a supreme existence, exuding boundless might. This man was none other than the Dark North Immortal Emperor, whom Qin Wentian had met before. Pei Qing, who had some grudges with Qin Wentian, was here as well. He stood behind an old man that exuded an unexcelled aura. This old man was none other than Pei Qing's master, a peak stage immortal emperor. Although he didn't establish his own territory and only accepted disciples from his sect, his strength was extremely powerful, and his influence was extremely terrifying. He could sit on the same level as the Dark North Immortal Emperor, similar to GD. Other than this, there were also many other immortal emperors. Naturally, there were even more demon emperors and their auras were even more terrifying. They were like demon gods exuding overwhelming might. Everyone, when will the path to the Demon God Mountain open? We have already waited for many hours. A supreme demon emperor at the front asked. There are still many people who have yet to arrive. When everyone is here, the path to the peak of the Demon God Mountain will open. There's no need to ask too much. An ethereal voice drifted over, replying to the other party. Everyone here were supreme experts and were naturally very patient. It was just that their expectations of the Demon God Mountain were too low, hence, they were somewhat impatient. There were also people guessing who the owner of this voice was. Could it be that the demon god mountain has a spirit? But to the mysterious demon god mountain, no matter how mysterious it was, they wouldn't doubt it. In such a place, even supreme immortal kings weren't that conspicuous, let alone an initial stage immortal king like Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian stood at the back and stared at these supreme characters. His eyes gleamed with sharpness as he shifted his gaze to a certain direction. Over there was a supremely powerful demon emperor with 9 heads. Each head resembled a demon god that could devour the heavens and earth, exuding an unparalleled majestic aura. On his shoulder, there was a snow-white little fellow that appeared somewhat comical, as though it shouldn't be here at all. Brahma Heavenly Emperor. Qin Wentian glanced at that greater demon. This greater demon actually resembled the Brahma Heavenly Emperor he saw back then in the city of ancient emperors. This meant that little rascal's race might have a connection with the Brahma Heavenly Emperor's race. He didn't expect that the Brahma Heavenly Emperor, who once dominated the world back then, was actually a demon emperor. Purgatory was on the other side and both of them were actually at the demon king level. Seems like this supreme demon emperor gave them a great opportunity. In addition to the fact that the demon god mountain is filled with good fortune, they all transformed. Qin Wentian silently mused. This was the demon god mountain, the #1 legendary place in the desolate mountains. With a supreme demon emperor protecting them, how could demonic beasts like Little Rascal in Purgatory not evolve? Little Rascal stealthily turned his head and glanced at Qin Wentian. He then winked at Qin Wentian, who had transformed into a great rock. Qin Wentian glanced at him and nodded his head slightly. However, no one noticed his subtle movements. There were still more people walking out from the back. The path ahead still didn't allow anyone to step on it. It was like as long as one passed the checkpoint earlier, they would already have the qualifications to ascend to the peak of the demon god mountain. Hence, the spirit of the demon god mountain was intentionally waiting for the people behind to pass. Qin Wentian quietly walked to the side and lay down. He closed his eyes and quietly cultivated, as inconspicuous as ever. Nobody noticed the existence of an ordinary great rock. This cultivation lasted for a very long time. Finally, a dazzling light flashed past the peak of the demon god mountain. The sealed pathway ahead finally opened up, exuding a boundlessly marvelous aura. Those demon emperors and immortal emperors all radiated fearsome auras. After that, they stepped out with no hesitation, heading towards the ancient pathway. To demon emperors, this was an extremely rare opportunity. To immortal emperors, even if they couldn't obtain any benefits, they still wanted to test it out and pry into the secrets of the #1 legendary place in the desolate mountains. Many experts entered one after another. Qin Wentian, who was in the form of a great rock, stood up and followed behind them, silently entering the pathway. At the instant he stepped in, he saw that the experts before him were all trapped in a sealed battlefield. On the ancient pathway, there were countless demonic spirits that directly brought those who stepped on the pathway into a spatial battlefield. Qin Wentian only felt a terrifying energy enveloping him. After that, he too entered a spatial battlefield. The energy of heaven and earth here seemed to have been sucked dry. He had no way to gather law energy. He could only rely on the energy in his body and the strength of his fleshly body. This path leading to the peak of the demon god mountain wasn't easy to traverse. Chapter 1421. Qin Wentian could clearly see that the other experts were all on this ancient path. However, there were actually many translucent spatial battlefields that didn't affect each other. As for him, he was in one of the spatial battlefields. At this moment, the silhouettes of greater demons suddenly appeared in the spatial battlefields. They were extremely terrifying and corresponded to their cultivation bases. Even the immortal emperors and demon emperors had extremely solemn expressions on their faces. Even for them, they might not be able to pass this ancient path. If one wanted to pass, one's cultivation base wasn't the only thing that could determine one's cultivation base. Before Qin Wentian, a great rock appeared, staring at him with lofty eyes. His cultivation base was at the peak stage of the initial stage of the Demon King realm, and his aura was extremely terrifying. The gigantic body of the great rock instantly swooped down like a bolt of lightning. His sharp claws slashed out, causing the void to feel as though it was about to be torn apart. The energy of heaven and earth in this spatial battlefield was completely extracted. There was no way to borrow astral energy, and one could only rely on one's own strength and physique. There was no doubt that such a powerful demonic beast would have a greater advantage. Humans were clearly at a disadvantage. Qin Wentian transformed into a great rock. Perhaps it was because of his will. A great rock appeared before him and directly launched an attack. Terrifying laws circulated around his body. Qin Wentian also soared up into the sky, clashing head-on with his opponent. His sharp claws slashed out, incomparably sharp. Bang! An incomparably powerful force collided against each other, only to see that the great rock was directly flung through the air. Qin Wentian was like a bolt of lightning. His sharp claws containing a terrifying sword might lacerated the head of the great rock, shattering it into pieces. A great rock at the same cultivation base as him naturally wouldn't be able to stop him. The space battlefield vanished. Qin Wentian continued forward. He saw many battles between experts. For those greater demons, the ones they fought against were all greater demons of the same race. As for the humans, they were all fighting against greater demons of the royal bloodline. On both sides of the ancient road, the demonic qi was terrifying. Numerous greater demons seemed to be watching, guarding this ancient road battlefield. One after another, experts broke through the void and came out of the battlefield. Some of them glanced at the great rock that Qin Wentian had transformed into, but they didn't care about his existence. It was already a miracle that an early-stage great rock demon king could make it this far. It seemed that this great rock had some strength and might have undergone a metamorphosis. Buzz! A force of the void descended. Before long, Qin Wentian was dragged into the space battlefield again. This time, a rock king bathed in endless thunderbolts appeared in front of him. The rock king had a dark body and was glowing with purple thunderbolts. It was extremely terrifying. This was the Thunder Rock King of the Rock Tribe, which also belonged to the Rock Tribe. Boom! Overbearing demonic rules were released. Qin Wentian was like a demonic rock. His eyes were wild as he rushed towards his opponent like a bolt of lightning. It's actually one of the rarer demonic rocks. No wonder he could make it here. Some experts from the Forok race glanced at Qin Wentian. They saw the lightning rock clashing head-on with Qin Wentian. The tyrannical thunderbolts and the similarly tyrannical Devil Dao energy clashed head-on, causing incomparably violent shockwaves that engulfed the entire battlefield. But ultimately, the lightning rock was destroyed, shattered by Qin Wentian. Demonic beasts were innately powerful. They could absorb constellations of the same attribute to temper their bodies, bones, and organs. As long as their perception reached a certain level, they would be able to draw energy from constellations of the same attribute into their bodies. This indicated that for those powerful greater demons with terrifying talent, they had an innate advantage. For example, this lightning rock could absorb lightning-attributed constellations within the range of their perception. How could it not be tyrannical? Hence, the higher the talent of a demonic beast, the greater the advantage they would have. The stronger their physical body, the more powerful the innate techniques they could unleash. However, the reason why Qin Wentian was able to defeat the Thunder Rock was because his physique was already extremely terrifying. The first constellation he condensed was already from the 5th heavenly layer, not to mention the 8th heavenly layer, a devil-attributed constellation. After he condensed his astral soul, the astral energy from the constellations he condensed was far more tyrannical compared to the astral energy from the constellations of the 5th heavenly layer. Even if it was used to temper one's body, it would still be many times stronger. In addition to Qin Wentian's body refinement arts, as well as his body tempered by God's hand, just based on his physique alone, he was already extremely tyrannical, comparable to a supremely powerful greater demon king. Qin Wentian continued advancing, killing greater demons along the way. The further he advanced, the more powerful the greater demons of the desolate mountains and the human Wu Xiu were. Their advantage in terms of cultivation base was useless because their opponents' cultivation bases were the same as them. For example, if the Dongsheng Heaven Emperor was here, would he be able to defeat the Torch Dragon Demon Emperor? Also, the advantage the demonic beasts had when compared to the human Wu Xiu gradually grew more and more obvious. The number of human Wu Xiu at the back was getting fewer and fewer. That rock actually hasn't died yet? A bewildered voice rang out. Those demonic beasts that could survive until now were all supremely powerful greater demons of the desolate mountains. As for the humans, they were all experts with unparalleled talent. This rock is somewhat extraordinary. Before this, the expert from the Sacred Sun sect had also reached this step. He could already feel the immense pressure. But for a rock to be able to persist until now, he was truly taken aback. The expert from the Forok race glanced at Qin Wentian as a strange gleam flashed in his lofty eyes. However, he didn't have the time to pay attention to Qin Wentian now. The end of the ancient pathway was already in sight. Right now, those that appeared on both sides of the pathway were all from the royal races of the desolate mountains. The final trial would surely be extremely terrifying. Before Qin Wentian, a golden-winged rock appeared. This was also an independent battlefield. This golden-winged rock had a golden body and was incomparably lofty. His gaze seemed to be able to tear people apart. Challenging the kings of the royal races? Qin Wentian silently mused. Before this, in the Tiandao Sacred Academy, he had once challenged the wills of various greater demons. But right now he was facing a truly supremely powerful greater demon. This was no longer a battle of wills. Qin Wentian's body glowed with the light of law energy, circulating around his entire body. He didn't dare to be careless when facing the golden-winged rock. A terrifying might radiated from the eyes of the golden-winged rock. In just an instant, a fearsome spatial tempest enveloped Qin Wentian, containing an incomparably sharp intent as it slashed towards Qin Wentian, directly ignoring the distance between them. This was none other than one of the innate abilities of the golden-winged rock. The power of God's hand was activated. Qin Wentian's body radiated an indestructible might as his demonic bloodline was unleashed. The shadow of a gigantic rock manifested around him, protecting him within. But even so, the spatial tempest still managed to tear apart his protective energy. Beams of spatial energy directly blasted into Qin Wentian, causing him to tremble violently. As expected of the king of the royal races, Qin Wentian's eyes gleamed with sharpness. Countless spatial tempests blasted over, colliding with his body of laws. If he was an ordinary rock, he would have been instantly torn apart by the might of the spatial tempest. How could a rock of the great rock race be able to stand against the king of the golden-winged rock? The demon god mountain only chose the strongest kings. Although there were good fortune everywhere, those who could reach the peak of the demon god mountain were all supreme greater demons that had the potential to become the king of the myriad of demons. True self-protection. Qin Wentian transformed into a great rock. Resplendent light of true self could be seen as the shadow of the great rock enveloped him once more. He soared up into the air, directly exiting the spatial tempest. When he passed by the tempest, everything was torn to shreds. The lofty eyes of the golden-winged rock gleamed with coldness as he vanished from his original location like a bolt of lightning. After that, a thunderous boom rang out as Qin Wentian was flung through the air, retreating extremely far away. Another innate technique? Qin Wentian's body trembled. It was too fast, directly appearing in front of him. This speed was even more terrifying compared to the time when he fought in the Battle of Wills in the Tiandao Sacred Academy. Bang! Qin Wentian only saw his opponent appearing before him once more, wanting to tear his head apart. His body trembled as he was flung through the air once more. Bang bang bang! Streaks of golden lightning flashed in the air. Qin Wentian only felt that his incomparably powerful body was about to be torn apart. There was no way for him to evade or block such extreme spatial teleportation. If it wasn't for the fact that the constellations he condensed were all extremely high-grade, and that he had cultivated many powerful techniques, he would have died without a doubt. Devil might gushed forth from Qin Wentian. The demonic rock exuded an inconceivably tyrannical aura. With a thunderous boom, the golden-winged rock tore through the air once more. A golden spatial sword appeared in its talons, wanting to slice Qin Wentian into two. Qin Wentian's talons clasped together as a devil palm imprint appeared in the center of his brows, directly piercing towards the golden-winged rock. This caused the rock to feel as though its soul was being pierced by a sharp sword. At the same time, a vortex of destruction enveloped it, causing the sword in its hand to involuntarily loosen its grip as it wanted to retreat. Qin Wentian directly stretched out his talons, actually grabbing the head of the golden-winged rock. With a flap of his wings, he directly descended on the gigantic body of the golden-winged roc, grabbing onto the neck of the golden-winged roc. The golden-winged great roc moved with lightning speed, appearing in another space. However, Qin Wentian, who was in the form of a great roc, had a death grip on him. His sharp claws ferociously smashed towards the head of the golden-winged great roc, frenziedly attacking. Thunderous rumbling sounds rang out unceasingly. The golden-winged great roc twisted its body frantically, wanting to shake Qin Wentian off. However, how could Qin Wentian let go of such an opportunity? The defense of this roc was simply too shocking. The experts in the surroundings were all dumbfounded when they saw this scene. A great roc was actually riding on the body of a golden-winged roc? What was going on in this world? Could the greater demons of the desolate mountains evolve to such a terrifying level? A great roc was actually suppressing the king of their race? Finally, a scream of misery rang out. Qin Wentian's attacks were incomparably violent. He could even kill initial stage mid-stage immortal kings. Although this golden-winged roc was terrifying, he still couldn't withstand such violent attacks and was brutally slaughtered. At this moment, a low-stage great roc king like him was viewed with more importance. This was a great roc that had undergone a transformation and could even kill kings. Chapter 1422. Qin Wentian's eyes gleamed with sharpness as he continued forward. Ahead of him there seemed to be another dimension. He had already reached the end of this ancient pathway, and was getting closer and closer to the peak of the Demon God Mountain. Other than Qin Wentian, there were already some powerful demonic kings who have already stepped forward. For example, the king of the Forok race, the king of the Sun Gold race, and the Wuxiu. Since the human Wuxiu was able to reach this step, there was no need to doubt his strength. Among them, the majority were at the immortal king realm, and there were only a few immortal emperors. They were all peak existences from the various major powers in the immortal realms, and Qin Wentian didn't recognize most of them. After all, he was considered a junior in front of these people and wasn't familiar with them. Most probably, those from the Tiandao Sacred Academy who are at the immortal king level should be more familiar with these people. They were definitely like him and Huang Shatian, characters who could summon the wind and summon the rain in the Tiandao Sacred Academy. However, there were also some familiar figures to Qin Wentian. For example, Princess Kitamura and Pei Qing. These two were characters who made history and had outstanding talent. Although Pei Qing was arrogant and had no one in his eyes, his talent was truly terrifying. Before this, Qin Wentian glanced at the battlefield where Pei Qing was at. Princess Kitamura was the youngest immortal emperor in the history of the Hokage Sengoku Kingdom. He naturally had extraordinary points. Other than this, the southern matriarch of the Namhuang clan and several other immortal emperors also passed this step. A portion of the immortal emperors from the immortal realms came, but not all of them came. Among these immortal emperors, there weren't many who could reach this step. All of them were peak-level immortal emperors with peak-level combat prowess. After all, they fought against a peak-level demon emperor earlier and won. Little Rascal. Qin Wentian glanced at Little Rascal. He had also passed the test. Beside him, that extremely powerful demon the Arch wasn't around. He was left behind. Although he was extremely powerful because he was facing the Beast King demon the Arch, he wasn't able to break through the barrier and was stopped. Purgatory was still in the midst of a difficult battle. She was currently facing an extremely powerful vermilion bird. Purgatory could be considered a mutated vermilion bird demonic beast. She was born in the form of a spirit body, and had always existed within Qin Wentian's body. She was raised using Qin Wentian's bloodline. This battle was extremely difficult. Ignition, what kind of talent is this? Qin Wentian glanced at the battlefield. Purgatory's body was set ablaze, causing the entire space to be set ablaze. Her combat prowess grew even stronger, explosively increasing. From a disadvantageous position, she managed to turn the situation around and finally defeated her opponent, standing out from the crowd. Qin Wentian felt somewhat puzzled. When did Purgatory awaken her bloodline? However, this wasn't the time to ask about this. He continued forward and encountered an expert from the Sacred Sun sect who was defeated. His aura was extremely weak and he was heavily injured. It was just that he didn't die. His eyes flashed when he saw Qin Wentian's great rock flying past. His gaze was extremely cold. Trash. Qin Wentian's eyes gleamed with sharpness, staring at him with disdain. The mocking look in his eyes was extremely terrifying. Impudent. That expert from the Sacred Sun sect didn't expect that the great rock who was humiliating him earlier would actually dare to look at him with such disdain, calling him trash. Just based on what qualifications do you have to criticize me? A trash-like existence. If there's a chance, I will definitely kill you. Qin Wentian's voice was low and hoarse, exuding a powerful killing intent. Although he had no relationship with the old Rock King who had died, that kind old Rock King had treated him very well. Yet, the old Rock King died in the hands of his opponent. Qin Wentian had to take revenge for this. Kill him for me. That expert from the Sacred Sun sect spoke to an expert from the Sacred Sun sect who had passed the test. The eyes of the expert from the Sacred Sun sect were all blazing with fire, radiating killing intent. Qin Wentian's silhouette flashed, moving forward like a bolt of lightning. King, save me! Qin Wentian's silhouette flashed as he ran behind a golden-winged great rock. This was a supremely terrifying golden-winged great rock. His eyes gleamed with loftiness as he stared at the expert from the Sacred Sun sect, causing a heavy expression to appear on his face. The expert from the Sacred Sun sect coldly stared at Qin Wentian. You humiliated the experts of my race? Are you going to hide there just like that? My cultivation base is currently too low, or I can easily kill you. With the king of my race here, do you dare to fight me? Qin Wentian hid behind the golden-winged great rock as he spoke. Although his performance earlier was extraordinary, it was still best to be low profile when it was necessary. After all, he was too weak. There were too many humans and demons here who could kill him. Humph, that expert from the Sacred Sun sect had a cold look in his eyes. However, the golden-winged great rock coldly glanced at Qin Wentian. Your performance earlier wasn't bad. However, you merely killed an illusory demon spirit. In front of me, even if you mutated, you are still nothing but a puny existence. Understood. Qin Wentian nodded, appearing very humble, showing respect to the royal clan. That golden-winged great rock nodded arrogantly, as though he was very satisfied with Qin Wentian's performance. Even if you mutated, you are ultimately still an ordinary great rock. You don't have the aura of a king. Many greater demons glanced at Qin Wentian as they emotionlessly spoke. Little Rascal stared at this scene with interest. His eyes kept blinking as though he saw something very interesting. This fellow was too shameless. These humans and demonic beasts underestimated him. They would have to pay the price sooner or later. Let's go. That golden-winged great rock spoke in arrogance. They walked forward, and the experts from the Sacred Sun sect also followed suit. There were no more greater demons around them. They continued forward, and it felt like they could already see the sky. That mysterious God Mountain appeared before their eyes. The God Mountain was already within their reach. Were they about to ascend to the peak of the God Mountain? At this moment, the royal clan of the Desolate Mountains all had looks of excitement on their faces. As for the human Wu Xiao, he was filled with the desire to explore. The number 1 legendary place in the desolate 10,000 mountain range was filled with good fortune. From the moment they stepped onto the God Mountain, there were plants that could allow the greater demons of the desolate mountains to transform. And after ascending the sacred mountain, there were even more treasures that could allow the greater demons of the desolate mountains to awaken their innate bloodline abilities. And now they were about to ascend to the peak of the God Mountain, the peak of the legendary place. What would be waiting for the greater demons of the desolate mountains? Naturally, there were some stellar martial cultivators who cultivated demonic energy. They also faintly hoped that they would be able to obtain some benefits. But even if they couldn't, to them, this was still a rare tempering experience. Finally, they saw an incomparably majestic demon god palace that towered up into the sky. This demon god palace stood high up in the air, exuding a sense of loftiness. Could there really be a demon god there? At this instant, many greater demons of the desolate mountains felt reverence in their hearts. This was the end of the number 1 legendary place in the desolate mountains, the demon god palace at the peak of the demon god mountain. The majestic demon god palace was engraved with lifelike diagrams of greater demons of the various races, as though they were alive. After that, the diagrams actually came to life. Walking out from the diagrams, causing the gazes of the experts here to freeze. Their hearts trembled. After that, a beam of light cascaded down from the peak of the demon god mountain. Law energy could no longer exist in this place. Not only so, under this boundless light, all the experts here felt their strength being suppressed. My cultivation base? At this moment, the eyes of a demon emperor narrowed as he exclaimed in shock. What's going on? The eyes of an immortal emperor flashed. Their cultivation bases were suppressed. Immortal kings, their cultivation bases were actually suppressed to the initial stage of the immortal king realm. Everywhere the light cascaded, everything was suppressed. There were no exceptions. Regardless of the greater demons of the desolate mountains or human immortal emperors, their cultivation bases were all the same, at the initial stage of the immortal king realm. The diagrams on the walls of the palace transformed into many terrifying greater demons. Their auras were similarly suppressed. All of them were at the initial stage of the immortal king realm. But their numbers were incomparably vast, and they were all walking towards them. Among them, there were even supreme demon kings and supreme existences. This time around, what they were facing was no longer a one-on-one fight. It was a group of demons. The palace at the peak of the divine mountain was wide open, but no one dared to act blindly without thinking. There were so many kings of the demon race, and they were all at the same level as them. They could kill the most talented human and demon in an instant. Seems like the demon god mountain wants to select the most outstanding demon king, a greater demon from the desolate mountains side. Those who could pass through this formation with their cultivation bases suppressed would definitely be the strongest existences among the greater demons of the desolate mountains. They would be able to inherit the legacy of the demon god, and have a chance to become a legendary demon god in the future. They're here. The eyes of everyone flashed with wariness. In the air, the demonic beasts were moving towards them under the command of the various demon kings. Each of these demonic beasts were saint beasts, and were known as the kings of the demon world. Among them, there were even supreme demon kings that led an army of saint beasts. King, lead us and kill our way up. Qin Wentian hid behind the golden-winged great rock and faux rock. Although their cultivation bases were suppressed, this wasn't the time to show off. Suppressing one's cultivation base was already a joyous matter to him. But it was precisely at this moment that he had to remain calm, and maintain a low profile until they entered the demon god palace at the peak of the demon god mountain. The faux rock race and the golden-winged great rock walked out. The eyes of the great rock gleamed with sharpness, shooting out spatial tornadoes that shot towards the demonic beasts. A supreme demon from the faux rock race was extremely terrifying. His spatial tornadoes contained terrifying golden flames of destruction, capable of incinerating all existences. An expert from the sun gold race shot out golden beams of sunlight, directly slaughtering the demonic beasts. The kings of the desolate mountains began their path of slaughter as they advanced forward. The human wuxio also unleashed inconceivably tyrannical techniques. Although their cultivation bases were suppressed, those who could reach this step were all extremely powerful existences. There were Empyreans from the sacred sun sect who shot out beams of sunlight. There were experts from the beast god sect who had incomparably demonic eyes that caused demon gods to prostrate before them. There were also experts from the 100 refinements sect who refined everything. Although the southern phoenix matriarch's cultivation base was suppressed, she still exuded magnificence. Brilliant light radiated from her as the shadow of a phoenix appeared around her. She was like an unexcelled queen of the world. Princess Kitamura was a supreme beauty. She radiated an aura of the north, causing those who were near her to feel an incomparably cold chill. The demonic beasts in front of her directly froze into ice. Qin Wentian stood at the back, his eyes gleaming with a terrifying light. Chapter 1423. The experts advanced and clashed with the greater demons, instantly destroying everything in their path. The greater demons and martial cultivators who came here were all too powerful. Even ordinary saint beasts were killed in a single strike. A group of experts advanced, as though they were invincible existences. The golden-winged great rock and the powerful faux rock before Qin Wentian opened up a path, slaughtering everything in their path. There were no demons that could obstruct their advance. But at this moment, a few powerful kings from the royal races appeared before them. a blood-colored golden-winged great roc, a golden-winged ancient beast, and a silver-colored great ape. All of them were like mutated demons. They stepped out at the same time, unleashing terrifying inheritance arts as they clashed against each other. How terrifying! These demonic beasts are too powerful. This Bao is scared. A young and tender voice rang out. A snow-white demonic beast hid behind the experts, scurrying about aimlessly. Many experts rolled their eyes. Where did this bastard come from? He had already killed his way here, but this baby was afraid? Although Qin Wentian was already very shameless, he almost fainted when he heard Little Rascal's shameless voice. This little rascal was truly a weirdo. Qin Wentian had already seen his battle earlier. That demon emperor had nurtured many powerful abilities in him, and he was no longer the little rascal of the past. Clearly, it was the right decision for him to come to the desolate 10,000 mountain range. He had found a supreme expert from the same race as him. Little Rock, seems like we are on the same path. Let's deal with these greater demons together. Little Rascal ran and leaped onto Qin Wentian's back. Little Rock? Qin Wentian almost wanted to slap Little Rascal. However, he replied, "Okay, don't worry. With the king of our rock race here, there are many other powerful characters as well. What can we do? Our strength is too weak, we can just watch from the back." Those who were fighting at the front almost coughed out blood. Among the greater demons and humans who came here, which one of them wasn't a supreme character? Yet, there were actually two shameless demonic beasts here. This was simply shameless to the extreme. However, there were still more demonic beasts rushing over. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed with coldness. Little Rascal impolitely lay on Qin Wentian's back. He had no intentions to fight at all. He simply called out, "Little Rock, I'll leave this to you." Qin Wentian slashed out, unleashing the demonic art of a great rock. Numerous incomparably sharp rock phantoms manifested, slaying everything in their path. Swishing sounds rang out continuously as several greater demons were directly slain. This caused everyone to understand that although this shameless great rock wasn't at the peak, since he was able to reach this point and even defeat the king of the rock race, his combat prowess was still very strong. Although luck might have played a part in that, he was still able to grab onto the back of the golden-winged great rock tightly. A group of experts slaughtered their way forward, heading towards the demon god palace at the peak of the demon god mountain. More and more demonic figures appeared in the air. Many experts already felt that they had run out of energy. Those supreme demon kings were extremely difficult to deal with, and there were also many saint beasts surrounding them. It was hard for them to escape. There are more and more demonic beasts. What should we do? What should we do? Little Rascal hid on Qin Wentian's back as he spoke. "Don't worry, just follow behind the king of my race." Qin Wentian spoke in arrogance. He followed behind the Forok expert and the golden-winged great rock. These two supreme experts were truly incomparably powerful. At this moment, the golden-winged great rock radiated a golden light as he shuttled through the air, directly vanishing from sight. Boom! A terrifying destructive vortex appeared, wanting to swallow the golden-winged great rock. The golden-winged great rock instantly retreated and stared ahead. A terrifying demonic eye that could devour the void flashed as it blocked the path ahead. A greater demon from the Heavenhold race lifted a gigantic boulder and smashed it forward with unfathomable speed. That terrifying boulder brought with it a heaven-shaking explosive force as it smashed towards the demonic beasts ahead. Thunderous rumbling sounds rang out unceasingly. That demon unceasingly lifted the boulder and smashed it down, opening up a path ahead. Roar! An incomparably loud roar rang out. A blood-colored devilish ape appeared. Its gigantic body was akin to an ancient mountain. It lifted its cudgel and smashed it down, actually shattering the towering boulder into dust. Chaos ensued. As the battlefield continued to advance, many experts and greater demons fought each other. Their movements were no longer as orderly as before. Many experts started to engage in a chaotic battle, and each of them was surrounded by greater demons from the demon god palace. It was hard for them to break free. Purgatory also came to Qin Wentian's side. The three of them wretchedly scurried about in all directions. This was the only reason why they weren't surrounded. There were also lesser demons staring at them. The greater demons that attacked them weren't as powerful as the golden-winged great rock. There was a supremely powerful greater demon that rushed forward alone. His talent was unparalleled and he possessed terrifying innate techniques. However, many more powerful demonic beasts appeared from the demon god palace, trapping him. All sorts of violent innate techniques blasted out and very swiftly, that incomparably powerful greater demon was actually killed. This caused the hearts of the experts to tremble. They all warned themselves that unless they had absolute confidence, they shouldn't go too deep into the demon god palace or they might be surrounded and killed. Although the greater demons that surrounded them were all extremely powerful, the experts still slowly advanced forward, pulling the battlefield towards the peak of the demon god mountain. Some of the greater demons and humans were simply too powerful, possessing heaven-shaking capabilities. Qin Wentian still adopted a dodging attitude. One man and two demons evaded those powerful greater demons. Because they were at the back, the forces surrounding them were weaker. At this moment, in front of them, although Princess Kitamura's cultivation base was suppressed, her entire body radiated boundless might. She released her Dark North Chi as well as her astral soul, causing the demonic beasts to freeze. Once the demonic beasts were enveloped by the Dark North Chi, they would quickly lose their vitality. This caused Qin Wentian to sigh in admiration. If this woman's cultivation base wasn't suppressed, it was unknown how terrifying she would be. Pei Qing was also very powerful. He was able to summon 3 incarnations of Pei Qing. All of them had extraordinary combat prowess. Evidently, he had cultivated some sort of unique technique. Jiang Zihua of the Jiang clan, he was the elder brother of Jiang Ziyu, and had a mysterious Buddhist technique. His body was like a vajra, his defense was extremely terrifying and he could even kill his opponents through the air. His attacks had terrifying penetrative power, and one of his finger techniques was extremely powerful. He could directly penetrate through space and into the bodies of demonic beasts, destroying them with a single finger strike. When his palm imprints blasted into the bodies of his opponents, the golden bodies of the demonic beasts seemed to solidify before they turned into liquid and died. As for the expert from the Sacred Sun sect who wanted to kill Qin Wentian, he was also extremely powerful. Sunlight radiated from him, incinerating everything. Ordinary Saint Beasts that got close to him would be directly incinerated. Only Saint Beast Kings would be able to defend against his attack power. These greater demons are coming out from the Demon God Palace, and there will be batches of them every once in a while. Our speed of killing cannot compare to the speed of the demons coming out. We have to use the fastest speed to break through the defense line. If not, at the end, no one would be able to enter the Demon God Palace. A voice rang out. Everyone also discovered this phenomenon. The batches of greater demons that manifested from the diagrams on the walls of the Demon God Palace could all become true greater demons of slaughter. One batch would advance while the other batch would defend, obstructing the experts. The experts nodded. Their killing grew even more violent as they frenziedly advanced forward. Each of them radiated a brilliant light that was incomparably dazzling, exuding boundless might. The greater demons frenziedly unleashed their innate techniques, while the human Wu Xiao unleashed his astral souls to amplify his attacks. In a short period of time, it was unknown how many greater demons died. Should we share some of the burden? Little Rascal asked in his baby-like voice. But our strength is weaker. Let's share some of the burden at the back and deal with some weaker demons. Qin Wentian nodded. He also felt that it was time for him to act and deal with some of the greater demons. If not, he didn't know if he would have a chance to enter the Demon God Palace. Right now, he kept a low profile and acted weak. There was only a single reason for him to enter the Demon God Palace. But if at the end no one could enter, there was no longer any meaning for him to act weak. Upon thinking of this, the human and 2 demons started to kill their way over and started to deal with the greater demons. Qin Wentian's god's hand activated the great rock as he unceasingly slashed out demonic arts. How could ordinary demons at the same level be able to withstand it? His killing speed was extremely fast, reducing the pressure on the experts. This caused the number of demonic beasts to decrease drastically as they continued advancing, getting closer and closer to the Demon God Palace. If it wasn't for some supreme greater demons that were extremely difficult to deal with, they would have already broken through. Seeing that they were getting closer and closer to the Demon God Palace, the experts all grew extremely cautious. At this moment, they understood that only a portion of the experts would be able to break through. Once a portion of them succeeded, the other experts would have to face even more attacks from the greater demons and there would be no more hope. There's still not much time before the next appearance of demonic beasts. Our chance has arrived. Qin Wentian transmitted his voice to Little Rascal and Purgatory. Not only for them, all the experts here knew that their chance had arrived. Right now, all of them had their own sinister intentions and started to hold back in their attacks. A few vile beasts are just a hindrance here. Scram. That expert from the Sacred Sun sect's eyes flashed with coldness when he saw Qin Wentian and the others starting to move forward. Flames of the sun ignited and shot towards Qin Wentian and the others, terrifying to the extreme. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed with coldness. Obstructing him from breaking through? Go to hell then. Kill him. Qin Wentian transmitted his voice to Little Rascal and Purgatory. Purgatory flashed forward, blocking the flames of the sun. Qin Wentian and Little Rascal then rushed out with lightning speed. Destruction! A third eye appeared in the center of the great rock's brows, transforming into a vortex of destruction that enveloped the expert from the Sacred Sun sect. That expert's body ignited with the power of a sun, wanting to incinerate everything. However, Qin Wentian's sharp claws slashed out as numerous demonic arts were activated by God's hand, frenziedly blasting out. The eyes of that expert from the Sacred Sun sect narrowed. With a roar of rage, numerous suns flew out from his body, wanting to incinerate everything as they enveloped Qin Wentian. Roar! Little Rascal's body turned golden, as though it was forged from gold. With a loud roar, the suns were directly swallowed into his mouth. The body of that expert from the Sacred Sun sect was also about to be devoured. In an instant, all sorts of tyrannical attacks slammed into him. The countenance of that expert from the Sacred Sun sect drastically changed. After that, all sorts of attacks slammed into his body. His face was filled with terror. At this instant, he saw Qin Wentian's incomparably cold and terrifying eyes. There was no trace of cowardice at all. Qin Wentian had been acting weak all this while, all for the sake of breaking out of this encirclement. Boom! A powerful force directly destroyed him. An intense look of reluctance flashed in his eyes. Break out! Qin Wentian spoke. At this moment, the three of them had no hesitation as they rushed towards the same direction. These three shameless demonic beasts didn't retreat at all. They directly rushed towards the palace at the peak of the Demon God Mountain. Chapter 1424. The three of them moved with extreme speed. Qin Wentian was in the center, Little Rascal was on the left, and Purgatory was on the right. At this moment, the three cowardly demonic beasts suddenly had a tacit understanding with each other. This caused the gazes of many experts behind them to stiffen. The Southern Phoenix matriarch glanced at Little Rascal and Purgatory before glancing at the great rock in the center. Her beautiful eyes flashed with a faint smile. So this was the case. The people here were either greater demons of the desolate mountains or geniuses at the peak of the immortal realms. The weakest among them was an immortal king existence, and there were even immortal emperors. Before this, Qin Wentian wasn't on the same level as them. Although they had heard of Qin Wentian before, they definitely didn't understand the two demonic beasts beside Qin Wentian. If it wasn't these people, but those immortal foundation geniuses from the various major powers who entered the Tiandao Sacred Academy back then, they would definitely be able to guess some things. Up ahead, many powerful demonic beasts blocked their way. Their eyes were cold to the extreme, and there were even supreme Saint Beast Kings among them. Ignite! The demonic bloodline in Qin Wentian's body was ignited. At this instant, a supreme demonic qi gushed forth, enveloping the great rock, making him seem like an unexcelled rock king. Not only him, Little Rascal and Purgatory, who were in the form of golden demonic beasts, also started to ignite. Their characteristics were actually somewhat similar to Qin Wentian. This scene caused everyone to be stunned. These three demonic beasts seemed a little strange. How could they be so close to each other? After all, these three demonic beasts were of completely different races. Naturally, at this moment, everyone didn't have the time to think too much. They all started to break out of the encirclement at the same time. There wasn't much time left. Another batch of greater demons would be born very soon. They had to make use of this time to break out of the encirclement and enter the demon god palace. If not, it would be extremely difficult to find such an opportunity again. For a period of time, violent auras engulfed the entire space as roars rang out. Powerful energy frenziedly clashed against each other. Kill! Qin Wentian took the lead. With a howl of rage, he lifted his claws and tore through everything. A towering devilish might circulated within his body, as the 8 saint beasts rushed out, transforming into a terrifying vortex that could devour everything. The demons retreated. All of them were sucked into the vortex. Purgatory's body was ablaze. Her entire body was like a true purgatory, spitting out hellfire. Roar, roar, roar. The immature little demon from before was now like a golden demon king, insufferably arrogant. A single roar from him could devour the heavens, causing tens of thousands of demons to prostrate themselves before him. When the golden claws of a king smashed forward, the entire space was locked down. Everything inside was sucked towards him, wanting to be devoured by him. The demonic beasts there trembled uncontrollably. Heaven-devouring beast. A greater demon's eyes gleamed with a terrifying sharpness. Heaven-devouring beasts were supreme saint beasts and were extremely rare. Even in the desolate 10,000 mountain range they were extremely rare. Their bloodlines were extremely rare, and because of their low numbers, they were unable to form a powerful race. Before this, there was a heaven-devouring beast demon emperor that brought this little fellow along with him. But who would have thought that this snow-white little demon was actually a heaven-devouring beast? In addition, was this a mutated heaven-devouring beast? Why was there only a single head? They couldn't recognize it at all. However, from the aura it exuded, this was clearly the innate ability of a heaven-devouring beast. Devouring the heavens and earth, capable of devouring an entire world. Those gigantic demonic beasts seemed to shrink as they were sucked into the vortex and swallowed into its mouth. In the legends of the desolate mountains, an adult heaven-devouring beast could successfully grow into a demon emperor, possessing the ability to devour the sun, moon, and stars. And in the legends, the limit of a heaven-devouring beast was that it could devour an entire world, including the sun, moon, and stars. It was one of the most terrifying supreme saint beasts. 3 inconspicuous demonic beasts suddenly unleashed their attacks, instantly sweeping through everything. When the experts saw this scene, how could they miss out on this opportunity? They all frenziedly rushed over, preparing to break out of the encirclement. Other than Qin Wentian and his group, there were a few other extremely powerful greater demons that stood at the same level as them, crushing the defenses of the demonic beasts blocking their way. Easy. A terrifying beam of light landed on the bodies of the demons, including Qin Wentian and his group. In just an instant, Qin Wentian and the others were all petrified. In fact, this petrification was spreading towards every part of their bodies. In front of the demon god palace, a female demon that was as sexy as a human appeared. Her beautiful eyes were incomparably demonic, and with just a single glance, she was able to petrify everything. Eyes of Medusa. The hearts of the experts trembled. There was actually a legendary greater demon here, the Medusa race. The innate ability of the Medusa race was to petrify everything. However, how powerful were the experts here? Under the situation where their cultivation bases were equal, even if they were struck by the innate ability of petrification, they were still able to break free. Sounds of explosions rang out unceasingly, but those defeated demonic beasts once again surrounded them. The path they opened up earlier was once again surrounded by demonic beasts as all sorts of attacks blasted towards them. Scram! Qin Wentian let out a piercing screech. His devil might towered up into the sky, wanting to make all the demons submit. His terrifying will was like the king of all living creatures. At this moment, how could he be an ordinary great rock? He was like an uncrowned king instead. He was the true king of the great rock race, the king of the heavens and earth. All humans and demons had to submit to him, even the Medusa race was trembling. Roar! Little rascal instantly lunged towards the Medusa race. A terrifying vortex appeared. The Medusa race's eyes stared over once more, petrifying little rascal's mouth. The two of them were in a stalemate, both their innate abilities were terrifying to the extreme. I don't have much time left. Qin Wentian cursed in his heart. This Medusa race was too difficult to deal with. This demon god mountain was here, but the demon god palace at the end was actually so difficult to enter. Their cultivation bases were all suppressed, and all the conditions were the same. How difficult would it be if they wanted to break through the defenses of the demon god palace? If they wanted to break through, they had to deal with the Medusa race. Night. Only to see at this moment a greater demon, the torch dragon, rushed over. A moment later the sky turned dark, causing the hearts of everyone to tremble. If the sky turned dark, the eyes of Medusa race would lose its effect. Roar! How could little rascal miss out on this opportunity? His devouring energy surged, and when the torch dragon lit up the darkness, the Medusa race had already been devoured, solving the problem. Rush! A thought appeared in the hearts of the experts. There was no more time. On the walls of the demon god palace, the demon god shadow flickered in and out of existence. It could walk out at any moment. Go! Qin Wentian's body was like a true great rock, arcing through the air with a resplendent beam of light. God's hand activated the 8 demonic arts once more, sweeping through the path ahead. Little Rascal and Purgatory attacked at the same time. The 3 demons opened up a path, sweeping through everything in their path. Even the greater demons from the Saint Beast King race had to give way to them. Rumbling sounds of collision rang out unceasingly. The 3 greater demons joined forces and broke through all defenses, directly rushing into the demon god palace. The experts at the back didn't hold back at all, unleashing their might. Their bloodlines and innate techniques were shocking as they slaughtered their way forward. All the experts knew that there wasn't much time left. Those greater demons that appeared from the demon god palace had already solidified. Bang bang! A resplendent Buddhic light flashed. Jiang Zihua's entire body was enveloped by it. He stomped on the ground and directly traversed the distance. On the way, he suffered an intense attack, but he didn't change his direction at all. He directly rushed into the demon god palace. A Forok and a golden-winged great rock naturally wouldn't miss out on such an opportunity. The sky rock sped through the air with extreme speed, slashing apart everything as they rushed in. A gigantic golden dragon that was incomparably gigantic disregarded all attacks and tore apart the demonic beasts in front of it. Its gigantic body rushed in. The various experts unleashed their strongest techniques as their silhouettes entered the demon god palace. In just an instant, many of them had already entered. Because they had already opened up a path, it was much easier for them. How could they miss out on such an excellent opportunity? In the blink of an eye, many experts entered. They were all supreme greater demons and humans. After that, demonic beasts appeared from the walls and directly blocked the path of the experts. For a moment, the light of the sun and moon dimmed. The heavens and earth dimmed. Some of the experts were directly flung through the air. After that, the other experts retreated one after another as their path forward was blocked. The opportunity was fleeting. It seemed that they had already missed it. Many greater demons stared at the blocked path ahead. To think that it was actually the great rock that opened up a path. Those 3 cowardly demonic beasts suddenly erupted with strength, opening up a path, and were the first to enter the demon god palace. This was simply inconceivable. That's a human's innate technique. I can sense a different attribute energy. Even a mutated great rock doesn't have such attribute energy. Pei Qing spoke. At the last moment he was blocked outside, only a step away. Although he didn't care that much about the demon god mountain of the desolate mountain range, he still wanted to prove himself. But at that instant earlier, Baiming Yuhuang entered. He was blocked outside. I also feel that he isn't a demonic beast. A greater demon spoke. How did an initial stage immortal king manage to reach here? He has been concealing himself. If he revealed his human identity from the start and didn't keep such a low profile, he wouldn't have been able to reach this step with his initial stage immortal king cultivation base. Pei Qing coldly spoke. What a sinister fellow. The experts nodded. Indeed, only at the very last part of the path would his cultivation base be suppressed. If he didn't keep such a low profile earlier, he might not even have this chance. Who is he? Many experts mused silently. But very soon, they no longer thought about it as they turned their gazes ahead. Staring at the demonic beasts walking over, the experts knew that their chances were even slimmer now because their numbers were too few. Some of the peak characters managed to break through the encirclement and entered the demon god palace. They were allies outside, but now, their allies have already entered the demon god palace. If they wanted to enter again, It would be as difficult as ascending the heavens. Qin Wentian, little rascal in purgatory, took the lead and entered the demon god palace. They stared ahead at the demon god mountain towering above them, shining with resplendent light. As for them, they were already at the peak of the mountain. This palace was located within the demon god mountain. Within the palace, there were extremely ancient stone walls. The walls were inscribed with a myriad of diagrams and images of saint beasts that seemed to be alive. Qin Wentian even saw the saint beasts inside moving, causing his heart to pound violently. But the next moment, he discovered that this place was different from the outside world. These saint beasts wouldn't come out. This place are all the saint beast kings in the demon world? Qin Wentian sighed. After that, more and more experts entered. All of them were deeply attracted by the carvings on the stone walls.